gentler than a washcloth in water, as comforting as a lover's caress, ephemeral like a forgotten summer breeze from childhood. You can never recapture those feelings you had when you were 17, but the dulcet tones of Matt and Seth talking about video game music might make you feel something again.
It's time for Bit Harmony!
You're listening to Bit Harmony, a video game music podcast, and I'm Matt.
And I'm Seth.
Today we are talking about Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I still can't believe we made the decision to cram both of these games into one episode, but I think it's a good idea in theory, but it's still very daunting.
I think we'll be okay. I think the alternative makes less sense than this. I think
my original idea was do Mario Galaxy 1 and then 2 as a mini attached to it, but
they're different.
They are different. Yeah, we're gonna get into it, but I don't know if we'll be okay when we've got 3 songs per break to cover.
Yeah, we had to kill some darlings to even get this to work. Yeah,
kill some darlings, and also I was, despite how familiar I am with both of these soundtracks, I was making notes for like an hour and a half this morning because there were just so many songs to cover. I think the only time we ever do this many dedicated break songs in an episode is like the best soundtracks of the year and the midway checkpoint episode. So
yeah. I mean, it's a big one, man. This is probably one of those, like, kind of, in terms of Nintendo soundtracks, like Mario Galaxy is probably one of the ones held on the highest pedestal. So
yeah,
and it's been fun actually I mean, we'll talk about it, but it's been fun to revisit these games and to be in this kind of Mario mood for the past month and stuff. It's been a real treat for me. I will say this, Matt, I resisted the urge when you said your name and it was my turn to say my name. Did resist the urge to call myself Mr. Gay. Because
is that a reference that the kids get nowadays?
I don't think the kids get "You Are Mr. Gay" anymore, but it was a big deal when when this game came up.
yeah. Very, very briefly on the logo of Super Mario Galaxy, the letters that have, like, what was it, like the little shiny,
like, twinkle of the star. Yeah,
the twinkle of stars were "You Are" and then MRGAY. So it just said "You Are Mr. Gay," and that became a whole huge thing. Yes, people were making a weirdly big deal about it back then when it's just whatever.
Yeah, but do you remember the follow-up in Mario Galaxy 2? The stars are in different places on the logo, but people realize that if you look at it backwards, it's "Yeah, I am, are you?"
No, that I do not remember.
Yeah, and it is very funny because that's like, for better or for worse, anytime I look at the logos of these games, that's the first thing I think of is "You Are Mr. Gay" and "Yeah, I am, are you?"
I think sometimes gamers have too much time on their hands. I'm thinking of the Resident Evil 6 logo in particular.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're referring to. We don't need to get into that. That's a little more explicit than "You Are Mr. Gay."
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, it's Resident Evil. It's for the adults out there. We gotta step up our weird indoctrination. Anyway, this episode's gonna be jam packed as is. I'm gonna turn into snacky happiness and transform if we don't get started. So. Our intro this episode is Milty Molten Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy the First. As a quick note, Mario Galaxy 1 was composed by Mahito Yokota with a few tracks from Koji Kondo, the original Super Mario Bros. Series composer. So again, this is Milty Molten Galaxy from Mario Galaxy 1, and we'll be right back. And that was Milty Molten Galaxy. I really like, that's a very fun galaxy name to say. In
Sounds
terms
like a
of
candy bar or something.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many like I don't know, like candy and sweet related things in Mario Galaxy 1 in particular. Now, granted, Milty Molten Galaxy, it is just, it's lava and lava
Right.
rock and stuff, but there is a lot of candy, and yeah, it's just fun to say Milty Molten Galaxy.
There's a level in Mario Galaxy 2. I don't remember what it's called, but there's a level where it's one of those levels with the illuminating like yellow Yoshi power up, and and like essentially when you get that power up, Yoshi has a little like aura of light, and it kind of creates platforms around you. But the difference with this one is that it's like the platforms are like wrapped candy bars, and when you like illuminate them, you just see the chocolate underneath, and that's a very
it's like you've got like X-ray vision, and you can see the chocolate bar beneath like the foil, and
it's a very
stuff.
fun
Yeah,
idea. Yeah,
it's a great idea. Yeah, man, these are going to be hard games to talk about in less than like 4 hours, I think. I'll mention about Milty Molten Galaxy. This is a pure nepotism pick on my part, as this is like hands down my favorite song across both of the Galaxy games.
Wow.
Yeah, I love this song.
It's great.
Also, this is just my favorite level in Mario Galaxy 1, period. I mean, yeah, those drums and sitars just immediately coming for your ass. I don't know, man. Like, I lose it. Even, like, I was listening to this yesterday before me and my wife left, and then the entire, like, bus ride and walk to her mom's, she was just, like, humming this song the entire time. It's just so good.
I mean, yeah, it's a great song. It's you know what, when it was one of those songs that did not like stick in my memory, but when
Are you kidding me, Seth?
It just didn't. This is what I'll say. When I listened to it, I was like, oh right, this song. Like it's just not one of those songs that I that I like immediately think of when I think of Mario Galaxy. But then like when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, like this. Yeah, this song rules. It had been a while since I heard it. It was nice to hear it again. I remember the level, like I remember that a lot. And yeah, this was great. It's a really, anytime that we can open with powerful horns and drums and stuff, that's always good. I have a note here, and I think I know what I mean by this. It's like I was playing Super Mario 64 in Lethal Lava Land, and then I fell asleep while watching the X-Files.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah,
that's pretty much what we have going on here, because like it's powerful, intimidating sitar, horns, drums, and stuff like that. But they do kind of work in like more electronic, poppy, like synth, and then at 108, like that theremin sound kind of comes in, and the horns kind of eventually kind of take control of the song back from it and bring us into that kind of big crescendo at 129. Like it's kind of like reminding you that we're still in space.
Yeah, I think my favorite Mario Galaxy songs are the ones that across both games are the ones that feel like Mario music but in space. And I think that's why this is my favorite song across both these games, is because yeah, it feels like a traditional Mario lava level song but in space. Like it manages to walk that line in a way that I think not a lot of other Mario Galaxy songs do, which like, that's nothing about the quality of the soundtrack. It's just that's my preference. I still want them to sound like Mario songs, and I think a lot of the time they just sound like super good orchestral soundtracks,
like Disney songs or something. Yeah,
right. We talked about it briefly in the 3D World episode, but yeah, to me that is like the platonic ideal of a Mario soundtrack with real instruments.
Yeah.
But I completely understand why people have so much nostalgia and love, and why they put Mario Galaxy soundtracks on a pedestal. I completely get it. They are fantastic soundtracks. Yeah, like I said, this is just not only is this my favorite song in both of these games, it is also the level that I think of the most when I think of Mario Galaxy, which despite my faux outrage at Seth's statement before, I understand that's not a popular opinion. This is like a very late game level. I think it's in the second to last set of levels. Specifically, I think the reason why I so heavily associate this level with Mario Galaxy is because my favorite parts in both of these games is when you're doing cool stuff, either platforming or cool launch star sequences.
Yes.
But then you can also be grabbing star bits with your pointer. And we'll get into all of this later if you're not familiar. But yeah, there's this moment in Lava Land, in Melty Molten Galaxy, where you hit a launch star, you spin, and then Mario gets blasted real fast, and he's coming right at you, like he's going into the screen towards you. And then there's like lava chunks like going over him and stuff. And then you can also twist your Wii remote in like a counterclockwise motion and grab all the star bits on your way. That's Mario Galaxy to me. Like, I love that part of the game. I wish there was like more sequences of that level and like that scale and scope with like music like this.
Yeah.
I'm basically just asking for more of the best part of the game, essentially. But
more of that.
Yeah, just give me more great stuff. That's all I ask.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I love that part of the level, of that part of the game. I just love this song. Don't have too many notes other than, yeah, when the horns are really coming in full blast around 40 seconds in, and that's leading to the more uplifting and like hopeful and triumphant part of the song. That's my favorite part, but I don't have too many other specific notes on the song itself.
Yeah, same. No, it's good though. I'm glad that you wanted to open with this. That's the kind of thing that I like, is like when I don't know, when one of us kind of like brings something unexpected or something, or kind of like reminds the other about something cool. Like I love that. It's nice to get to, you know, look at that and kind of bring in like a new perspective and be like, oh right, this is sick. Yeah,
like we could have just opened with Gusty Garden Galaxy, and that's probably what most people would expect, but no, I want to open with this. Also, I'll never forget us opening the Donkey Kong Country 2 episode with like the disco thrill ride episode or song from the roller coaster.
Yeah,
levels. I think that's genius. Also, I get off on being withholding. Sorry, that's just who I
am. What a crazy thing to say. I love that.
Do you have any other notes then on Melty Molten Galaxy?
No, we should move on.
Yeah, I guess so. I really ruined everything right there. General housekeeping. Not too much here to get into. We are near the end of the Mario March Madness, celebrating kind of the build up towards the Mario Galaxy movie, despite the fact that I think neither of us are even that excited for the Mario Galaxy
I'm excited
movie.
for it. I'm looking forward to it.
I want to see it, but I'm not like excited about it. Like, I'm not like chomping at the bit to go see it, but I will see it eventually.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, we don't need to get super into this, but like the thing about, you know, this movie, like, I'm just looking forward to going and watching it and having a lot of fun watching it. Like, yeah. I know that it's not going to satisfy, you know, like the storytelling or emotional depth that I'm looking for or whatever, but it's going to be a really fun, like, roller coaster whirlwind 90 minutes of just Mario stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, the best part of the first movie was just like the visuals and whatever. So yeah, totally. Set that in space, and yeah, I'll enjoy it. I'll have a good time watching it. I'm not like just going crazy about it. Anyway,
sure.
Yeah, we the previous full episode was Mario 3D World. Then we did a mini on Mario Bros 3. You're obviously listening to the Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 episode. And then we're closing out with a mini on the Mario Kart series, which is much like this episode. We've kind of given ourselves the daunting task of we're going to go over the entire Mario Kart series, but in a mini format. We'll see how many that one ends up being. And it is worth mentioning that the Mario 3 episode was, I think, our longest mini ever. That was like a full-on hour and a half, I think.
Yeah, with the songs and stuff, I think it wound up being like an hour and a half. But you know what? I listened back to that mini. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I think we had a great discussion on that game, and I'm not just saying that to point you to Patreon, even though yes, you should look at Patreon. I think it's a truly really good mini, and I really love that game. And talking about that game was really fun and nice. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, you know, we were kind of waffling a little bit on what to do with the Mario Kart mini, and we've landed on kind of a fun like limitation idea that I think will be a fun challenge for us. And Yeah, it's also the kind of thing where I think that a lot of Mario Kart games, like the vast majority of them, would not get dedicated episodes anyway. So like a mini just kind of makes sense. Yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, I mean, look, man, if Mario 3 and Mario Kart don't get y'all to check out the Patreon, I don't know what will.
Yeah,
like you gotta go over there.
And yeah, like I said, or like Seth said, actually, the Mario 3, not only is it our longest mini, I think it might be my favorite mini that we've ever done. Yeah, it was a really good one. I like when we do minis on, like NES soundtracks, like we did one on Kickle Cubicle last year and stuff. Yeah, we should do more of those here and there, maybe. I'll also quickly shout out the rest of the season plans. On April 5th, we have an Infinity Nikki episode where my wife is coming on, and we're going to also do a mini on even more Infinity Nikki right after that. And then our season finale is Final Fantasy X on April 19th. Mostly doing this just so if you have voicemails for either Infinity Nikki or Final Fantasy X, get those in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, get them in.
Like, even though we're a month ahead of Final Fantasy X, you can still get those in now, and I would just save it for the Final Fantasy X episode. But
right,
I think that's all I had for that. Did you have anything, Seth?
No, I mean, look, I'm excited to replay Final Fantasy X. I haven't done that in God, it's been years. I think since the HD port came out. I think that was the last time I replayed that game. So I'm looking forward to that.
I am guessing I'm not even going to have the time to replay it, which is fine because I bought a Vita specifically to play Final Fantasy X HD or whatever the remaster was called. And I got the platinum in that, and that was still to this day like the second or third most grueling platinum I've ever gotten in my life. And that kind of burned me out on actually playing Final Fantasy X, despite how much I love it. So
sure.
I'll also say I think I played that game like near 20 times growing up, because when you're a teenager, you just replay the same games over and over again. So I'm pretty familiar with Final Fantasy X. It might, besides Mario 3, it might be the game I'm most familiar with that we've covered on the show. So
I'll probably stream it. I'll probably stream some of it on the YouTube channel, which I guess I should also shout out that in preparation for this episode, I streamed like 4 hours of Mario Galaxy 2 over there as well. So trying to stream over there with like games related to the show as much as possible. So yeah, I imagine I will stream some Final Fantasy X over there. So
yeah, that sounds fun. And yeah, I also want to get into streaming more stuff, but I don't think we're going to do that for Infinity Nikki. My wife would have to do it.
Yeah, it'd be a pain to set up. Yeah.
I don't really have any postmortem thoughts on 3D World, partially because of what we're going to have to talk about in the next segment anyway. Right. So if you don't have anything, then I guess we can just get right into the Sean Capri presents the State of the Nintendo Music Address. In the past 2 weeks of Nintendo music drops, we've had, you wouldn't believe it, Super Mario 3D World.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And Super Metroid a day or two ago. So Super Mario 3D World, I'll just read off the composer list again, just because I haven't been punished enough. Super Mario 3D World was composed by Mahito Yokota, Toru Minagishi, Koji Kondo, and Yasuaki Iwata. And hey, we literally just did a full 3-hour episode on Super Mario 3D World. We really don't need to litigate the entire soundtrack here, which is nice with how stuff the rest of this episode is. I think it's kind of nice that the timing of this. I'll also say, we got multiple messages being like, you guys did it. What's happening?
We did it.
The bit harmony power, which has happened a couple times here and there over the past 2 years. I will note, I was partially expecting Nintendo to do something like that. In fact, originally I was planning on doing Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, the episode of Bit Harmony first, and then 3D World, but I specifically bumped 3D World back because I kind of figured this had a good chance of happening.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did. But hey, Super Mario 3D World, it's a great soundtrack. Go listen to the Bit Harmony episode on it.
Pretty much, yeah. It's one of my favorite Nintendo soundtracks, and it's a good episode of the show. So just go listen to that if you want some extended thoughts on that.
And then we got Super Metroid, composed by Kenji Yamamoto and Minako Hamano. This isn't that much more interesting to me, not because Super Metroid isn't a great soundtrack, it is, but who was it in the Discord? Was that Spider Shane or someone saying something like this is the definition of I thought this was already on.
Yeah, this is another
the
one,
Nintendo
right?
Music app. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yes, if you had asked me a week ago, is Super Metroid on the Nintendo Music app, I would have said, yeah, that was their day one. Like, that, I just assumed that was the case. I would like Nintendo to start removing things without saying anything and then adding them back.
To see if we notice.
To see if we notice, yeah. The experts over at BitHarmony notice.
Well, I mean, old Drake came in with a confession in the Discord that this was actually the drop of Super Metroid was the one that got old Drake to download the Nintendo Music app in the first place. So there you go.
Yeah, Super Metroid, as a video game and a soundtrack, it's great. It's not something that I want to like sit around listening to, mostly because it's not a lot of like melodic. It's very atmospheric, and I think that also makes approaching it as someone that maybe has never played Super Metroid kind of hard, because like, who wants to sit around doing dishes and vacuuming and listening to an ambient Super Nintendo soundtrack to a game you've never played before, right? Like, if you're that type of person, you've played Super Metroid, I feel like, anyway.
Sure.
So there's that, but I mean, it's one of the most impressive soundtracks on the system. It's fantastic. I love Super Metroid. It's a big part of like what got me super into gaming in a big way. Electronic Gaming Monthly, for their 150th issue back in 2001, they did a top 100 games ever list, and Super Metroid was number one. And I only knew Samus through Smash Bros at that point, so like that set me on the path of being like, I want to learn more about all these games, because I only ever played like the Marios and whatever in that top 100 list. So I owe a lot to Super Metroid in terms of making me into a more I don't know, a person with a wider variety of taste, I guess, in games. But I don't have too much else to say about the soundtrack itself, I guess.
Yeah, me either. But I mean, I like the Bryn Star song a lot. So,
I mean, what is it? The red soil area of Bryn Star, that is one of my favorite like game songs of all time, especially from the Nintendo side of things. I love that song.
Yeah, so this is a weird one for me to grade. I think I'm just gonna give it an A. Just a straight A, because like Super Metroid to me is a bit of like a boring obvious pick, but like I don't want to take too much away from it for that. And then Mario 3D World is Mario 3D World, so like I think I'm just gonna give it an A.
Yep, that was my exact thoughts going into the grading process of this. These are both like not, obviously they're not niche picks by any stretch. I guess Super Metroid kind of is from like a wider gaming audience, but like a core Nintendo audience pick, no, this is extremely obvious. But they're both very good for what they are. And if you've never played Super Metroid, get on into the Super Nintendo app and play it. It's cool that that's just on there if you want to. But otherwise then, that has been a shockingly brief Sean Capri Presents the State of the Nintendo Music Address. We are going into our next break of the episode then. We're going to play Space Junk Road, Buoy Base Galaxy, and of course Gusty Garden Galaxy, all from Super Mario Galaxy 1, and we will be right back. And again, that was Space Junk Road, Buoy Base Galaxy, and Gusty Garden Galaxy. What I really wanted to accomplish with this first full break, not the intro break, was I wanted to like hit the entire like tone library of Mario Galaxy in one break as best that we could. And so to me, the three major tones of Mario Galaxy soundtrack, you get like the melancholic yet hopeful emptiness and wonder of space, which that's what Space Junk falls into. You've got these kind of epic Star Trek adjacent sounding sci-fi songs, which is more buoy bass, and then orchestral whimsy of something like Gusty Garden. And yeah, like I said, Space Junk of these is obviously the melancholy emptiness one. This was kind of like a must for me. I think this is another one of my favorite songs from the first Galaxy. And also, yeah, just playing this on launch day as a 17-year-old, or maybe I just turned 18, I don't quite remember. But like I was immediately smitten with Mario Galaxy, and we'll talk more in depth about all this in a little bit. But at the time, it really felt like the Mario game I'd been waiting for since at least Mario 64, but maybe even like my whole life at that point.
Sure.
So I don't feel that way anymore, but the memories are still there. And I think there are two moments from early Mario Galaxy 1 that like really, really stick out and still hit me to this day. Those moments would be when you first go to the Good Egg Galaxy, the first level of the game, and there's no music as Mario is like flying through space. All you hear is the sound of like him whooshing through space. And then the music kicks in when he lands. Like he lands like a meteor on the planet, and like, yes! And then the music kicks in. I'm like, oh damn, like that's video games to me. That always hits me. And then Space Junk for the first time, where you're introduced to this very different tone. Like up to that point, it's way more like fast-paced Mario action-y platform kind of stuff, right? But then when you get to Space Junk for the first time, it's not just the music, but the level itself is all kind of more withdrawn and more slow-paced and methodical, and you're having to pull Mario along the sling stars or kind of send him like a slingshot across like these gooey web cluster things. And I don't know, it that coupled with the music itself, it all just, I don't know, it really, really, really hit when I was 17 years old. There's something so gentle about this song, obviously, but also the level itself for the most part, that's really what I associate with Mario Galaxy 1.
Yeah, this is for me the broad spectrum of emotions. The quiet sadness of Super Mario Galaxy is what kind of makes that game stand apart, I think, for me. Like, just in general, I think that a lot of people, when they talk about the first Mario Galaxy, especially compared to Mario Galaxy 2, which again, we're going to be doing plenty of here on this episode, they talk about things like, oh, well, it has like a more detailed story with Rosalina and stuff, and it has...
To which I respond, yeah, barely.
Yeah, it's a little picture book thing, and you know, whatever. And they say like, oh, well, the like the openness of like the structure of Mario Galaxy versus the kind of more rigid gameplay forward structure of Mario Galaxy 2, blah blah blah. No, for me, what actually sets these games apart is that Super Mario Galaxy is probably the only Mario game in which it gives you that kind of pun not intended space to feel these complicated emotions like this, like where a lot of Mario games, including Mario Galaxy 2, and I think it's a benefit to Mario Galaxy 2 to be clear, but I think a lot of Mario games are just kind of go, 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 and it's not that often that you do get a little bit of time of quiet introspection in like a Mario game. And I think for me, that is what makes Super Mario Galaxy, the first one, special. It's still not my favorite 3D Mario game by any stretch, but when I think about this game and what it does that is special and unique, it is that quiet feeling, the time that it allows the player to kind of live in that quiet aimless, floating, introspective feeling. I really appreciate that about this game. And yeah, that all is summed up in this song. There's also something about like the single notes being played on that main piano melody, like almost surgically, you know, like there's something about that makes me feel introspective. It reminds me of like, you know, I've played guitar most of my life at this point, and there's been a lot of times when it's like late at night and I'm like, you're just alone with my thoughts or whatever, and I kind of just pick up my guitar and just kind of pluck like single notes on my guitar just to kind of like, I don't know, decompress, whatever. I'm just like kind of sitting around with my guitar thinking, and just like the single note, you know, kind of like hits on the piano in this remind me of that. It like I guess this song reminds me of thinking, which is like a dumb thing to say, but that's what it makes me think of.
No, I completely agree with you. That I don't know, with just how I guess I already said the word gentle, but I can't think of like a better word to describe it. It just makes me think of like, yeah, the emptiness of space, but in a nice way. You know, there's obviously the emptiness of space in a bad way, but also just makes me think of like children and babies, and that's such a huge thing in Mario Galaxy's story with the Lumas and them being reborn as stars and planets and blah blah blah. I don't know, it just makes me think about the cycle of life, which that's just like the introspective quality of these just gentle piano notes playing with the backdrop of space behind you. At least again, until you get to that spider boss where you're having to sling Mario into its ass to do damage to it or whatever.
I mean, we do, you know, we do at a certain point have to make we got to come back to reality by way of a spider's ass eventually.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, I don't have too much else to say about the song itself. It's such a standout song from the first game. Again, across both soundtracks, really. There's not too much, like you said, there's not too much like this in Galaxy 2
right.
on this level. Did you have any other notes on Space Junk Road?
No, we covered the quiet sadness of Super Mario Galaxy, I think.
And the spider's ass, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Buoy Bass, and man, this song rules. This is another, I guess these are all kind of, besides Gusty Garden, they're all kind of Nepo picks for me, I guess. But
I love it.
Like, those horns kicking in at 20 seconds still hit me nearly 20 years later. Like, okay, I will say, this is probably my favorite song of the episode to listen to with headphones in. There is so much extra twinkly noise that I never really paid attention to prior to this. Because, I've never, like, sat down to listen on this level with it.
Yeah, that comes up like quite a bit in the soundtrack, like just that kind of like soft, like twinkling. I don't know really how to describe it, like the sounds of like starry waves or something, like cosmic waves in the background of this. And yeah, like when the song opens, what I really love about this is it kind of like lulls you into a false sense of security for the first like you said, like 20 seconds, and then those horns come in and it's like, oh no, things are not okay. You know, at 47 seconds, there's this like string passage and theremin. It almost feels like you have like a brief moment to breathe in the middle of a battle, you know? And then it's also there that the song kind of takes that more like up tempo, like triumphant kind of turn to, which I think, you know, I like that. A lot of these kinds of songs have like almost a story in themselves, you know, and I like that a lot about it too. Yeah, this was another one that I was glad that you picked, because if I were sitting down with zero research, having not played or thought about these games, blah blah blah, like this is not one that would come up. I would have landed on the obvious, the Gusty Gardens and the Space Junk, and you know, I would have landed some of the other songs we're covering, but I'm glad for some of these Nepo picks because it reminds me of how just great this whole damn thing is, and it makes me think about like, oh right, yeah, like this song rules.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Real quick, I'll just say that I had the same like 47, 48 seconds in mark pegged. Yeah, that's when it gets that Star Trekness going,
Yeah.
like that space operatic kind of thing. Though, yeah, I like that it quickly transitions from that like almost operatic synth that's being used in place of like human vocals, basically, to then back to more traditional orchestral sounds. Just like the amount of variety, not just in the soundtrack as a whole, but like within the songs themselves, is very, very cool. Across this whole soundtrack. I think the reason this song always stuck out to me, and you're gonna find this to be the case with a lot of songs that we're playing this episode across Galaxy 1 and 2, but I just love this level a lot. I think this is one of my standout levels from the game. And so I just always, as a teenager, I paid more attention to the music here because of that. I love in 3D platformers any level that has a big focus on verticality. I think that's like the big separation point between side-scrolling and 3D platformers, and like what 3D platformers can do better than any side-scrolling game.
Right.
And so like Mario Galaxy has way more of that in general, of course, but like in this level you're having to scale this like big kind of almost rickety looking tower that has like electric orbs rotating around and cannonballs shooting out and thwomps littered throughout, and you're having to collect all these like space chips to make a launch star. I just love that. I love the threat of falling back down to the water. So it's not like you're not going to die or anything, but it's like, oh man, I have to climb all the way back up there and get across all those thwomps. In a way, that's a worse fate or punishment than actually just dying, you know? So
Right.
I really like that. I don't know. I just always love buoy base, and there's a cool like secret star here that's also probably going to be like the first green star most players find and whatever. I just love buoy base, like the music and the level in general. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I like how kind of like rusty and derelict and kind of like, I don't know, like it's not squeaky clean, you know, like you kind of just, it's like you're on an old like oil rig or something like that. Yeah, I like the vibe of it, and I like that a lot of the platforms, like they even thought about logistically, like don't they actually have like flotation devices on like the platforms at the bottom, like the platforms are having to like float on the water.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And then, yeah, to get to the secret star, you have to, or maybe that's not the secret star, maybe that's just the normal star, but you have to like lure a torpedo Ted underwater to blow up like this
That's right.
pocket of air that's pulling the system down, the entire planetoid down into the water, and that releases it and lets you go up the tower. Yeah, it's such a cool idea. Even just the name buoy base is very evocative to me in a way that not all the level names are. Yeah, this is just one of my favorites. I didn't realize, you know, I knew that Melty Molten, I knew that wasn't like a super big Mario Galaxy pick. I always thought buoy base was more popular, but maybe it's not. So I'm glad I picked it then.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. Again, this was another one where I'm like, oh yeah, and again, I guess it does kind of speak to the strength of the level design of these games, that like, yeah, like it immediately made me remember the level. Like when I heard it, like, oh yeah, this is the one with that big like rusty like floating tower. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. To get to the opposite side of that spectrum, we got Gusty Garden Galaxy, which, like, look, you just kind of have to put this here. It's just like Sticker Brush in Donkey Kong Country 2.
This is the one, right? Yeah.
You have to play this, right? Like, it is overplayed as hell. Like, we even had the Champions Road arrangement on the 3D World episode playing behind us. Like, you have to address this, though. Like, it is the elephant in the room when it comes to, like, either of these game soundtracks. But that said, it's overplayed to that level because it is so good, you know?
Yeah, like we can't pretend it doesn't deserve to be as overplayed as it is. Right. You know? Like it does hit that it is the Mario Galaxy song. And I mean, like, I'm sure I've mentioned this on the show before, but yeah, like my wife and I, we played this at our wedding. This song was being played kind of like on a loop while people were like being seated and stuff. We had Gusty Garden Galaxy playing, and it was pretty beautiful. Like I don't know, like it's just a beautiful song, man. I mean, look, like again, you cut me, I bleed. That string melody at 125, it's one of the most just joyous, and freeing pieces of video game music probably ever. Like, this song literally feels like flying among the stars. And I gotta give it credit. I was thinking about this when I was making my notes, that like, there's some interesting choices in this song that are not obvious at all. And I wonder like what the composing process was like for this. Like, at what point do you land on the guitar, on that like kind of Spanish guitar like strumming in the background, like
the thing that's like constantly there? Yeah, it's so interesting that, and I was wondering about that too, because like I'd noticed the guitar before, but until today, listening with headphones and like really paying attention, I don't think I realized that it's basically a constant presence just going on in the background of the song. I think my take on that is Gusty Garden Galaxy is a level in Mario Galaxy where the planetoids are largely more natural than like a lot of the other levels, right? So there's still a lot of irregular shaped stuff and weird gravity things going on. And you're still launching all over the place. There's still giant space worms chewing through apples that have their own gravity pockets and whatever. But when I say natural, I just mean that like everything in this level is like made out of grass or dirt or apples, right? So a big part of what you're doing in this level is like chasing rabbits and helping rabbits get away from like the mole enemies and stuff. And so I just get the sense that they were wanting a more earthly tone mixed in with the outer spacey like soaringness of it.
Right.
That's kind of where I landed on it. They just wanted something that's like more grounding the song compared to other ones.
Sounds a little more crunchy or something.
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, I wonder too, like how I was reading the Iwata Asks interviews yesterday for both this game and Mario Galaxy 2, I was just interested in going back and reading those. I'd read them before, but I do wonder how much of this kind of like spearheaded, like they had the idea and the kind of like design document of the vibes, like the sort of like mood board for Super Mario Galaxy back in like 2004 or 5 or something like that. And I wonder, like that's not that far removed from Sunshine. And so part of me is kind of like, oh, like I wonder if a little bit of that like Isle Delfino influence like snuck its way into Gusty Garden Galaxy in some capacity. I don't know that, but that's kind of like, I wonder if that's a bit of like it almost feels like a musical transition or a little bit of like a passing of the torch from the previous Mario adventure into the new one or something. Like it feels like a Mario Sunshine song that kind of gets to transform itself into a Mario Galaxy song or something.
Yeah, I always got the sense that this was even composed maybe even as like a potential theme song of the game, because like they even rearrange it in the game itself. Like the purple coin levels use an arrangement of this and stuff. So like, did they just know what they had already, or was that like the plan from the start or something? It is funny that, yeah, because of like Iwata Asks and whatever, there is way more like notes on the development of this game than a lot of other Nintendo games of this time period. Because like this is where that really started happening with these Iwata Asks interviews and stuff. One of my favorites was Mahito Yokota approached Koji Kondo with like drafts of songs that he thought were good and was going to him for approval. And Koji Kondo was like, these suck. I think he straight up called them bad, is what he said, at least for the game, for what they were going for. And then he said, if you have any idea in your head that Mario is cute, you need to get rid of that now. And I'm like, that's crazy.
That is crazy. I love the intensity of that.
It's also funny to me because like Mario and his world are undeniably cute. Like the idea that what Koji Kondo like elaborated on later is he's saying that Mario is cool and like we need to, it can't just be cutesy stuff. But like Mario is cute though. Like it, I understand what you mean. It shouldn't just be cutesy, but he is pretty cute.
He is he's got like chubby little cheeks and like you pinch him and you know.
Though, playing, I got 120 stars in Mario Galaxy 1 the past like week and a half. And yeah, there is a slightly more of an emphasis on story in this than basically any other Mario game, barring like the RPGs. And there are multiple moments where they do put Mario in like cool poses here that they've never really tried before. Like when you go to the final level, Mario's in like this like battle pose. I'm like, I don't know about this.
We got the Mario with the tribal tattoo. Maybe still had a little bit of that dog in him coming into this.
Did you have any other notes then on Gusty Garden Galaxy?
No, I do. I don't know. We'll probably talk about this more when we get closer to Mario Galaxy 2, but yeah, I think there is something really interesting about these sort of like themes and the story de-emphasis and stuff. But yeah, we'll save that for a little bit.
Then let's start talking properly about Super Mario Galaxy 1. Super Mario Galaxy was a 3D platformer released by Nintendo for the Wii in November of 2007. It was later ported to the Switch in September 2020 as part of the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection that was done for Mario's 35th anniversary. And then, of course, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 were ported again to Switch in October of 2025 as part of the series' 40th anniversary, though again, this time Galaxy 2 was also ported, so that's nice. This was revealed at the Wii's like big blowout at E3 2006. There were hints of like a Mario game on Wii back when they first showed off like the Revolution controller before it was even called the Wii, where I remember there was like a lady that was like flicking the remote up and there was a Mario jump sound effect coming out and she had like a big like going on. But this is, as far as I remember, this is the first time we actually saw the game at E3 2006. I will note I did rewatch a lot of trailers for Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 doing notes for this episode. And I have not watched an E3 that old in a very long time. And it is wild how much more quaint the trailers are for video games in this time period. Like, it's clearly edited way more to be for the press than public consumption, even though these were being streamed online already back then. Like, I watched this live, I remember. But yeah, it's definitely like this weird place where E3 was still mostly meant to be a business thing, and they're just putting together these pretty simple trailers.
The trailers are like shots of like test footage, like when they're like prototyping the game. Doesn't really have like a cinematic like story to it or anything. It's just like here's like some disparate shots of the game.
Dude, I have it written down for Galaxy 2, but the Galaxy 2 reveal trailer has like it was done like a year before the game came out. The Mario mustache made of grass on the face ship is like really realistically rendered. I'm like, what the hell is this? It looks crazy, dude.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mario Galaxy 1 was the third 3D Mario game, and it was the first one since Mario Sunshine in 2002. We talked about this briefly on the 3D World episode, but the core idea of Mario Galaxy was set it in space, for one, and then it has an emphasis on traveling sets of mini areas, and most of them are like spherical planetoids. This is done for multiple reasons. So setting it in space allowed for basically complete freedom when it comes to designing levels. Like, you don't have to figure out a way to connect a honeybee themed level and like a giant robot Bowser level and a balancing on top of giant space ball anymore, just whatever. It's all outer space. It doesn't matter anymore. And then the emphasis on spherical planetoids allowed them to have a major reduction in like players trying to fiddle with the camera controls now. It's important to remember 2007 is not that far removed from the introduction of like 3D gaming for like the general population.
Yeah.
And that the Wii was poised to be a console meant to attract a casual audience. So like Nintendo actively doesn't want you fiddling with like the camera controls. They prefer you just pretend it doesn't exist. And to their credit, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 both work very, very well with completely bespoke camera angles. Yeah, I generally prefer not having to fiddle with cameras in Mario games, despite the fact that I'm fine with it. It's not a huge issue, but they really were like the biggest complaints about both 64 and Sunshine at the time was the manual camera control. These spherical platforms also were used as a way to try and prevent players from getting lost in 3D space, as in, yeah, if you walk in a straight line, you're just going to loop back around eventually, right? And also, from a more technical standpoint, the small spherical planetoids separated out by long flight sequences also helped hide limitations of the Wii itself.
Yeah.
So you're able to have a lot of unique geometry in a small burst, and then you get to a fling star or a launch star, and then you're getting an invisible loading time as Mario's flying, and you're getting, like, the Wii is loading up the next set of unique geometry, which is very clever and thoughtful.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned this, maybe it was even on the 3D World episode, but like to me, like Mario Galaxy is a magic trick. Like Nintendo kind of like gets away with the magic trick of Mario Galaxy. The fact that, you know, that it like looks and runs this well on the Nintendo Wii, and like it feels large and open even though it's actually quite linear. Is because they took this concept of being in space and they made it fun and interesting and unique, and like the gravity and like the planetoids and stuff like that. Never really seen anything like that before, and so you're so kind of enamored with that you're not really critically thinking about, oh, what I'm actually doing is quite linear. It doesn't really matter because you're whisked away in the magic trick of it all. And for me, like that's what video games are all about. That should be the ideal scenario, is that by the strength of pure game design, working within your limitations, like you manage to make something bigger than the sum of its parts. Like that's what making games is all about, I think. And yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool that they got away with it.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, even as a dumb teenager that didn't know that much about games at the time, I thought it was so neat, the idea of you could have just made Mario 64 with modern graphics and set it in space, right? Like you could have just had that, but still, like, you still are manually controlling the camera and whatever. Like it could have just been a theme, but they take the theme to also be I mean, from my understanding is the design of we don't want people messing with the camera, that came first, not the actual Galaxy theme. And that I think that's so neat that like they took a problem that they wanted to solve and then themed the entire game around how do we solve this problem and make it fit with the world presented to you in itself. I think that is super interesting, and that's such a Nintendo way of doing things, and why I still generally hold Nintendo games on a certain pedestal despite being older and whatever now. Like Seth said a second ago, there's also, because it's in space and you're dealing with all these planetoids, there's also a big emphasis on like gravity here. So like every landmass floating in space has its own gravity. So like if Mario is standing, say like on an orb or on a sphere, and there's two other spheres near you, if you just jump into the air, whichever one you're closest to, that's the one that you're going to get sucked into its gravity at that point. So like for me, replaying this the past week, even though I've played this game to death over the past nearly 20 years, to the point where I don't even like it that much anymore, it is still very fun and satisfying just to see how the gravity affects Mario in this game. And later on in the game, like when we're talking like end game and like final Bowser level and stuff, there's like these like spotlights of gravity that are hitting walls. So you jump into these spotlights and start scaling walls, and if you try and like long jump past the gravity spotlight up this completely vertical wall, you're like jumping into a new gravity field at that point and seeing how it affects Mario and what's going to pull him where and stuff. I think that is super, super fun. And I think to me, that is like the most fun part of both of these games, is just seeing how this gravity system works. Real quick in the generalities, this is the first 3D Mario that had extended side-scrolling sections. Mario 64 and Sunshine were again very new 3D, or rather 3D was still new at the time. So I think the idea of like them putting side-scrolling sections in was probably a very foreign thought. But here, and especially in 2, where I feel like they have a lot of side-scrolling sections, that became a big emphasis here. Like the interplay between going from full 3D to then going down a warp pipe, and then all of a sudden you're in a side-scrolling area, I think is very fun. And then the last mechanical note I wanted to touch on here was that Mario jumping on enemies is very, very de-emphasized. And that I didn't even really think about at the time. But yeah, jumping on enemies in a 3D space really does kind of suck in most games. And so, yeah, they give you a spin move. And yeah, in the original version, you shake the Wii Remote or Nunchuck to spin. And yeah, there was an interview where I forget who on the development team was saying, jumping on enemies in a 3D space is absurd. So they really leaned into it. And yeah, that spin is like your main interaction with enemies and most things in the game. Though there's still plenty of jumping when it comes to platforming stuff. But anyway, that's all like the mechanical, technical generalities I wanted to touch on. So what was your reaction then to Mario Galaxy at the time, and also the Wii in general, which I think is just like a landmine of stuff to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, like the Wii was a huge, like this whole era really represents, I mean, really the GameCube, but I think once we got into like the DS and Wii era is where I really became like a video game sicko or whatever, like, or a Mario Nintendo like super fan. Like this is kind of like the this is where I achieved my final form, I would say, was the Nintendo Wii. And yeah, I remember like being so invested in like the hype and the build up. And yeah, you mentioned like it being called the Nintendo Revolution, and like that initial reveal of like you know, like Iwata like pulling it out of his jacket or whatever, and like
even though it was just a rectangle,
yeah, just a rectangle. And yeah, I remember picking that thing up. I remember the hype behind it. It is still like, I still consider the Nintendo Wii to be my favorite system of all time. Like I love the Nintendo Wii. It to me represents the, not even just like the height of video games, all the things that we were just talking about with Mario Galaxy, the working within limitation and stuff. Also true of the Wii. The Wii is not that much more powerful than a GameCube, like from a hardware perspective, but that doesn't matter. Like that was, the GameCube was really the last time, I guess really until now with the Switch 2, that Nintendo really cared about being contemporary in terms of like hardware power and capabilities and stuff. When we came to the Wii, it none of that mattered anymore, because it was all just on the strength of the game design and making experiences that you could not get anywhere else. And a lot of people look at the Wii and they allow like the existence of family friendly games or like shovelware games or whatever to like tarnish their opinion of the Wii. But like motion controls are amazing, and they're still kind of amazing, and I still really like love playing games that way. And the way that the Wii kind of like was the first console that really felt like you had an entire like little entertainment box. Like we, like the getting to look at like news and weather and stuff like that on your Wii. Like, I don't know, it really felt like a hub that kind of existed in my home. And I loved like waking up and seeing like that little like blue light because you had a new notification, on the Wii. I don't know, man. Like I loved everything about that thing. And then, yeah, like I remember the reveal of Mario Galaxy and just being so excited, like at the idea of like having a new 3D Mario game to play on this thing. Really set my imagination on fire. The whole concept of it being like galaxy and set in space and stuff, and what does that mean? And I just I was pretty smitten with all of this stuff from day one. And the Nintendo Wii, that kind of like 2005 2006 era, like I would say from 2005 to like 2009 or so is probably like the height of my of my life in video games. Like
Okay.
that probably is like where I have the fondest like getting into games in a more serious way memories.
Yeah, I have very similar feelings about all of this. I mean, I stood in line at Walmart for 13 hours in the cold northwestern Ohio November weather to get a Wii, and I was so excited about it. Yeah, I had been following it since, it was called the Revolution. The only thing I think they revealed about the Revolution at first was, the actual console design itself, and that they would have the virtual console. And I'm like, yep, that's enough for me. I want to play old games on this very Apple-looking product at the time. That sounded great to me. And they didn't reveal the controller itself until between E3s, between E3 2005 and 2000, or was it at Tokyo Game Show? I think they revealed that.
It might have been Tokyo Game Show or one of those like media-centric events. It had like, do you remember Nintendo Revolution? Like, it wasn't just like a code name. It had like a logo. Like they were calling it that, at first.
I mean, it makes sense because like you might scoff at it now, but the idea of, hey, we're scaling back. We're not in the technological arms race anymore, and we're gonna focus on like a new market, basically. That is a revolutionary idea, and they were largely very successful with it. Maybe they should have pivoted away from it faster than they did, but remember all the Michael Pachter WeHD talk back then and stuff, and I think Michael Pachter, actually, that might be one instance where he was maybe proven right, where maybe they should have pivoted a little bit sooner than they did, because I remember the Wii, the final like year or two of the Wii was about the most dire of like any console I've ever played, to be frank. But at the time, 2005, 6, 7, and 8, that was like, my hype was at its highest prior to the Wii coming out in 2006, and then I was in gaming like complete heaven between like Mario Galaxy, Twilight Princess, Metroid Prime 3, the Smash Bros. Brawl reveal, which is like still maybe one of my favorite game reveals of all time, and the hype going into that and stuff. And the Wii is a very special console to me too. I did love the blue light on that thing, but I will say I turned it off eventually because it kept waking me up at like 3 a.m. when a news thing would come in or whatever. I'm like, okay, I love
it. I love that thing.
I loved it too. It felt like it was from the future. I will also say I used to check the weather on my Wii like before school in the morning.
Yes.
Because that was faster than booting up my computer, which is a slow desktop back then. And that way I didn't have to like sit in front of the TV waiting for the weather to come on. I remember saying that to someone, one of my internet buddies, and he was like, "No, you don't." I'm like, what do you mean? I do.
Yeah, you touched on, you kind of like said something there that I think really like sums up my feelings on like that Wii era. It felt like it was from the future. Mm-hmm. Like the Wii felt like it came from outer space. Like people forget that. Like, do you remember like playing Wii Sports and like bowling with motion controls for the first time, dude? Like, dude, it still feels great.
People, because the Wii was so hard to get, it was sold out for like 2 years in most places.
Yeah.
People came to my house that I wasn't even like that close with from school or whatever to just make a me and play Wii Sports bowling. Like that's how much of a cultural impact that was. Like, oh, that Matt Murray kid, he's got a Wii, let's go over there. Like that was a real thing. It was pretty crazy.
I started working at GameStop around that time, or really it would be the next year in 2007, but I started working at GameStop in fall of 2007, and we would get like a shipment in of Nintendo Wiis, and we would sell them literally right out of the box. Like they wouldn't even make it to the stock room. Mm-hmm. Like that we would just like keep them out front on the floor and sell them right out of the box that they were shipped in. Like it was that the fever for the Nintendo Wii was that strong, and like we've talked about it before, it like totally broke down barriers of like my my grandparents still have a Wii in their house that they play with regularity. And I think that's so cool and special, and just everything that I love about video games is represented in the Nintendo Wii. And so I like that was all when we're talking about Nintendo Wii that kind of like mid to late 2000s Mario Galaxy, like this is like I'm in hog heaven. Like this is when I was just so into everything Nintendo was doing. My Mario fandom was at an all-time high. you know, like it's just yeah, very very precious memories.
Yeah, I will also note, you know, I love Mario, always have, like, my whole life. I had custom Mario wallpaper in my childhood bedroom and stuff. Like, that's how much I was into Mario. And yeah, this is kind of the peak of that for me. It was specifically coming off of like Mario and Luigi, the first two of those games where I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm like a ride or die Mario person. And yeah, like this felt like such a leap going into Mario Galaxy coming from Sunshine specifically. I will note then, we keep bouncing around like the story of this game. We have to give this brief summary of the story of Mario Galaxy. Bowser steals Peach's castle and he lifts it into space with the help of his airship armada and also like a big UFO that never gets addressed.
Yeah.
After he steals a bunch of power stars, and those power stars, it turns out, were stolen from Rosalina and her comet observatory. They're used to power her observatory as a ship. And so now you need to gather the power stars back to power the observatory and go to the center of the universe to chase down Bowser and rescue Peach. And that's kind of it. Now, obviously, there's the optional Rosalina's storybook content and whatever, which does tell the most compelling story in a mainline Mario game, but there's really not much there either. It's more backdrop of Rosalina's past and whatever. But I did just think that was worth noting because despite me making fun of it now for being very story light, but people still acting like there's major story here, at the time, it felt crazy. The most 2000s, like mid 2000s memory I have is this game came out in Japan a couple weeks before it hit other regions. And I remember people were uploading it, but not, again, YouTube wasn't that big back then. I was finding like clips on weird websites of people uploading the introduction to Mario Galaxy and Peach's Castle being taken. I remember putting these clips on my Zune. Yes, I had a Zune.
Hell
it
yeah,
was great.
dude.
I loved my Zune. It was fantastic. And I took the Zune to school so I could show my friends. Because again, if you're young, we didn't have smartphones back. I think smartphones literally didn't exist at this point. Or if they did, it was very, very early. Laptops weren't much of a thing, especially not like cheap, easy to carry ones. Like I owned a laptop, but it was big and clunky. So no, I was downloading this illicit Japanese Mario Galaxy intro video, putting it on my Zune and going to show my buddy at school. Like it felt crazy to see like the Mario 3 airships are back. They're playing,
Yeah.
we'll get to this later. They're playing a rearrangement of the Mario 3 airship theme as Bowser's like stealing Peach's castle and stuff. It felt big and cinematic and cool for 2007. But yeah, looking back, there's really not much. There's not much to chew on there.
Well, I mean the thing about Mario fans in this time, in the dark recesses of the internet when I'm on Tumblr and mushroomkingdom.net and Mario boards and stuff, like we were really making a meal out of out of these scraps here.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly like the stuff with Rosalina was cool, and obviously there's a lot of like, you know, really famous, you know, fan theories about Rosalina's relation to Peach and stuff. And I think that was when game theory really kind of like took off, was with the Mario Galaxy, you know, videos and stuff. And that was all cool, I guess, kind of like legitimizing some of the things that were happening online. But what we were really freaking out about was, yeah, like the sort of space implications, and particularly like coming into the ending of the game when like there's a black hole that like consumes the universe, and like
Dude.
like the Lumas like make a sacrifice and like are reborn into a new galaxy, and then Mario says, "Welcome, new galaxy."
Dude, I mean, the end of Mario Galaxy is just the end of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Like it is. It is. Like we reset the universe in a Mario game.
Yeah.
I'll say, you know, I hadn't played all the way through Galaxy since the 3D All-Stars came out. So 5 years ago, or a little over 5 years ago. I didn't remember how insane that ending sequence is.
It's crazy.
Like, as the black hole consumes everything, then Mario wakes up floating in a white void, and then giant space god Rosalina is there.
She's like massive, yeah.
She's huge, and then there's the constant sound of babies crying in the background. Again,
it's
not
the Lumas being reborn.
right.
Yeah.
It's literally the Lumas are being reborn, but there is something so harrowing about being stuck in a white void with space god, and there's babies crying in the background, and you're just little like, Mario.
Well, and that stuff too. That's the kind of stuff that that Koizumi brought to that game.
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
Koizumi was the director of the first Mario Galaxy, and that dude is a very like he was kind of like Miyamoto's apprentice or something like that. Like he kind of like almost like studied under Miyamoto. He's been at Nintendo for years and years and years. But very famously, like Koizumi was the one that wrote the story of Link's Awakening and Majora's Mask and stuff like that. And he's the one that kind of like thought of these ideas of like time loops, and he's a very like story centric guy. Miyamoto famously doesn't care about video game storytelling really at all. And in fact, like for Miyamoto, he'd rather it have basically no storytelling, which is why when Koizumi moved on and they did Galaxy 2 and Koizumi was just producer on that, Galaxy 2 has practically literally no story. So it is kind of funny that Koizumi, like his involvement as director of this game is kind of felt in this way, because yeah, man, like the ending sequence of Mario Galaxy does have the measure of something you would see in like a Majora's Mask or something like that. And it is kind of funny and interesting. And I wonder, I mean, I don't know anything, but I do wonder how like the sort of internal politics of Nintendo are, where it is kind of interesting that Mario Galaxy is the last game that Koizumi was ever a director on. Like, he kind of moved up to a producing role from that point on, and he was kind of never in charge of that stuff again. And part of me wonders, like if that was a situation where Miyamoto was like, yeah, you went too far, story boy.
Yeah, we'll let this slide for Zelda, but not for Mario. I don't remember if this is apocryphal or someone exaggerating, but I remember hearing a story that like Koizumi put Rosalina's storybook into the game without telling Miyamoto, and when Miyamoto found out, he said like, you can't ever do this again, kind of thing.
Right.
Which like I think is interesting, but also, yeah, Koizumi is definitely right in this case, because even going through YouTube comments, a huge part of people's excitement about Mario Galaxy is like they talk about like the library and the storybook stuff, despite how like not meaty it is or whatever, right? Like that is a huge part of it, to the point where Nintendo produced a real version of Rosalina's storybook to sell as like a collector's thing, right? So, yeah, I get Miyamoto's perspective that like he views video games more as toys, and I do think that was like the prevailing theme at Nintendo for a real long time. I think that's why you get stuff like the Zelda timeline where no one cared about it until they realized they could like put it into their marketing or whatever.
Right.
Which sucks, and we talked about that on the show before too. So I get I get Miyamoto's perspective, but yeah, to me it's like, yeah, you could have a balance. Like I actually do think
right.
Mario,
yeah,
I actually do think Mario Galaxy does have a good balance of like this is about the amount of I guess I could go for a little bit more story in Mario Galaxy, but this is about the right amount to me. And yeah, Mario Galaxy 2, literally my biggest complaint with it is that there's like no flavor to the story whatsoever. And yeah, it does feel bad. Like the story is missed in Galaxy 2, even though it is a way better game in basically every other way.
Yeah, that's kind of where, I mean, we'll talk more in depth about Galaxy 2, but that is kind of where I fall down on it too. But you do find yourself missing like, yeah, just that little bit, like Rosalina, if it weren't for her presence in the game's story and like the storybook and all of the mystery and intrigue. Like, wait, like a new princess? Like what? Like, you know, what's going on here? Like a space god princess and stuff, and you know, removing yourself from all of the, you know, horny teenagers that just thought she was hot. Or whatever.
Yeah, she's got one eye covered with a swoop.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, that really drives them crazy. And I like Rosalina, but like Rosalina became super overrated super quickly. But she does have like a cool story. Like it's a cool concept, and you know that kind of stuff matters. And the only presence that Rosalina has in Galaxy 2 really at all is like she's the. Like if you die X amount of times, like she'll be like your kind of help assist mode or whatever. Yeah. And that's like about it. And I don't know, man, like there is something to that. And I find it interesting that kind of like directing duties would be passed on to Motokura, who like not only would direct like Galaxy 2 and stuff, but like would also go on to do like 3D Land and 3D World and Odyssey, and like he's kind of like the Mario guy now. Like he's kind of and I'm sure as we speak is designing the next mainline 3D Mario game. I just find that interesting, these like divergent paths where like I can't help but wonder like what kind of games we would have got if Koizumi remained sort of in a lead creative role in the kind of future of Mario from Galaxy onward. But it's almost like they promoted him to like shut him up or something like that. And like, I'm not trying to like perpetuate anything. I know nothing, but I can't help but think about that. It's an interesting kind of like shadow that's almost cast over 3D Mario for me. Like just the like Koizumi, like when you see him like at Nintendo Directs, like the reveal of the Switch, he was kind of like the guy. And I don't know, man, like something about it, it's almost like a weird, like, you know, Severance thing or something. You know, like
he was too far ahead of his time. Also, just shout out, yeah, like you said earlier, did the Link's Awakening like main instruction manual like setup story. And yeah, I think Link's Awakening, besides Majora's Mask, still kind of has the best story in a Zelda game, at least from like the prior to like the modern Zelda stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he was ahead of his time. And yeah, also it is worth noting that this is around the time period where people started turning on Miyamoto. We also got to bring up Paper Mario Sticker Star and stuff. We don't need to talk about it, but yeah, there is something there. There is some kind of like story versus like gameplay thing that was happening at Nintendo at the time, which is interesting to look back on now. So as mentioned, this is a 3D platformer. You're going to be running and jumping throughout all these different stages. There are, by default, there's 120 power stars to collect, much like in Mario 64. But when you get 120 stars and beat the game, then you unlock Luigi, and then you can do it again, but with Luigi.
Hell yeah, dude.
So there are technically 242 total power stars to get in this game. 120 each with Mario and Luigi, and then a final secret bonus star at the end with each of them, where they just send a picture to your Wii message board of Mario standing next to Peach and then Luigi standing next to Rosalina, which lit a lot of fires in the fandom back then.
Oh, the earlobe gate. Yeah, you remember that?
No, tell me about earlobe gate.
Oh, people were looking at the earlobes, like the implication of like Luigi, like if Rosalina is, you know, Peach's like weird interdimensional space mom or something, then like who's the father? Well, people were comparing the earlobe of Luigi and the earlobe of Peach, and like the sort of like implication of like, oh well, you know, the recessive gene that kind of like can that can determine if you're, you know, like what shape your earlobe takes does come from your father. And if you look at Luigi's earlobe, it does match the kind of closed earlobe that Peach has. So if we take that combined with the picture of Luigi and Rosalina, I think that in a roundabout way, Luigi is Peach's father. So it's like crazy stuff like that was being floated around.
I probably saw that stuff and my brain must have wiped it from memory, thankfully, and now you've brought it all back. What's the ship name for Luigi and Rosalina? I was trying to remember this the other day. They have a cute, funny, like Rosa Ouija or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's something like that. I don't remember what it, but yeah, they have like a little like ship name like that. Yeah, Rosa Ouija. It is something along those lines. Yeah.
Look, I'm about as big a Luigi fan as you can get. Luigi can't punch that high. He can't punch that far.
He can't handle that.
He's not. Look, Rosalina, she's a BBW according to the Mario Kart community.
Yeah, she is in
She's
that
heavyweight.
higher weight class. Yeah. Rosalina, a pog. Oh, Jesus.
What is this podcast anymore? Anyway, gameplay wise, Mario Galaxy brought back a big focus on power-ups. That was, basically fully missing from Mario Sunshine, and didn't have that big of a presence in 64. You had the caps, but there was only like 3 of them, and you didn't use them that often. The power-ups in the Galaxy games are awesome. I really like them a lot.
Yeah.
You had B Mario, where you can fly for a short amount of time that's dictated by a meter that refills when you land again. You can also cling to like honey that's like on walls and stuff, and also in one instance climb around the queen bee, getting the star chips out of her fuzz.
Scratch her back.
Yeah. And you can also step on light objects like flower petals and clouds without them like disappearing. My favorite note in doing research for this episode is that the B Mario power-up exists because a female staffer working on the game left a note simply stating, "I want a B Mario," which is very good.
Well, it's a funny thing too. Like one thing that came out a lot after the passing of Akira Toriyama was like the sheer influence that Mario has and always has taken from Dr. Slump and the character of Arale and stuff. And yeah, like Arale had like a bee suit, that like you can look at the intro, like sort of the Dr. Slump anime, like opening opening movie or whatever, that all can be traced. Like you can look at that and it just looks like stuff that's so clearly inspired Mario. The bee suits in there, the tanuki suits in there, the cat suits in there. Even like the title of it is like Sonic the Hedgehog's title screen totally references Dr. Slump. It's lifted like almost wholesale. And it's kind of funny to go and look back on. How do you feel about the bee suit? Where do you land on the bee suit?
So in terms of its visual design, it is maybe my favorite Mario power-up ever. In terms of its actual gameplay implementation, I think it's implemented much better in 2, where they're mostly in side-scrolling levels. There is I think some of the harder stuff in Galaxy 1 with depth perception is happening with the bee suit specifically in 3D spaces.
Yeah, I love the bee suit. I love the way it looks. I particularly love the way Luigi looks in the bee suit. I love that big, stupid, like almost bucket hat that he has with it. Really good. But I really like I feel like it's a pretty divisive power up for Mario fans. Like I feel like a lot of people find it kind of like slow and plotting and stuff, but that's completely the point.
That's also how a bumblebee moves. Like that's the thing. Like the way he's like kind of like wiggling in air. Like he's not in full control because he's got tiny little wings trying to move this giant body, and you can only move for a little bit of time. Like, yeah, they're not like quite power ups in the way that like a fire flower or a tanuki suit or whatever is, right? Because like there's limitations to them. It's not just like a straight upgrade in a lot of ways,
right?
But yeah, that's the point. Which I'll skip ahead for a minute to Spring Mario, which I think is maybe a better example of people being weirdly, antagonistic towards a mechanic in a Mario game.
Sure.
With Spring Mario is like inside this like giant spring coil. It's like he's stuck in it basically. So you can jump real high with the spring coil, but you don't have like full control. Like you can't just like stop and start moving the way you can with normal Mario. Like you're constantly bouncing up and down, and you basically can't stop at all. And so they give this power up to you very sparingly, but when they do, it's usually in circumstances where you're going to be in danger of falling off like into a black hole. Like you're going to fall off into a death pit or whatever, right? And people hated this at the time. They're, I don't like this because the controls are going to send me to my death. But that's the point. Like you have to learn how to operate within this new verb set. Like that's what they want you to do. And to me, that's like the fun part. Same thing with B Mario
Totally.
is, yeah, your movement is a little bit different. And yeah, you move slower because they're changing the pace of the game and they're changing Mario's capabilities. Yeah, I don't know. Like, do you know how to like walk and talk at the same time? You can figure out Spring Mario. It's not that big of a deal, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like controlling B Mario, like I think that it's so important with Mario power-ups, especially in a 3D space, to make you rethink of the way that you're navigating that space and making your way through it. And you know, we'll talk about things like Cloud Mario with Galaxy 2 later on, but like that sort of stuff where you're having to really kind of like contextualize and rethink the way that you can get through these areas is like what it's all about. It's what makes this stuff interesting. The fact that B Mario is just as much about the slow elevation as it is about considering the way that you fall from that elevation. Like you have to think about all of those things, and I think that's what makes it so good. Like, I don't know. I really love it. Like it is. I wouldn't say it's like probably not in my top 5. Maybe it's in my top 5. I don't know. I haven't really stopped and made a top 5, but it ranks pretty highly for me. I like B Mario a lot.
Yeah, B Mario rules, and I think it is like the standout power up or whatever from Mario Galaxy 1.
Right.
We also had Boo Mario, where Mario turns into a boo. You can kind of like hover and float and even sort of glide indefinitely, though also pretty clumsily. Again, like we were saying with Spring and B. And then you can also shake the Wii remote to go invisible and pass through certain objects. And also light will turn you back into normal Mario if you get hit by like a spotlight or whatever. They also brought back the Fire Flower, though it works on a time limit. It works exactly how you think. You can just throw fireballs at stuff. They had Ice Mario in this, which also works on a time limit and lets you walk over water surfaces, even like jump up waterfalls and whatnot because you're just made of ice. They had a Rainbow Star that makes you invincible. This is only used like 3 times in the game. And then it's just some like red star that lets you fly for some reason. I get the feeling they just wanted to give you like a way to just easily fly around the observatory.
Yeah.
Because it just gets so annoying by the end when you have all the rooms open. You want to get from the bottom to the top. Yeah, it is easiest to just get in the red star power up and just fly up there. But also, yeah, it doesn't feel good to fly in this the way like the wing cap in 64 does or whatever. But yeah, it's not used for anything beyond 1 star and just a way to navigate the Comet Observatory. I do want to briefly mention too that this was, of course, a Wii game, so motion controls and specifically pointer controls are all over the place here. You can, again, shake the Wii remote to make Mario spin, and that's his primary attack verb. You can also always point the Wii remote at your screen, and it's represented by a cursor. And you could do this for all kinds of things. Like they force you to do it to like navigate menus and like select which level you want to go to and stuff. Again, we talked also in the intro about collecting star bits just by pointing your Wii remote cursor over the star bits themselves. I know Miyamoto talked about that like when Mario 64 was new, like just running around a 3D space was fun in and of itself. So like collecting coins in and of itself is also fun. But by the time Mario Galaxy came out, 3D wasn't a novelty anymore. So they wanted to come up with a way to let you get these collectibles in a quicker way. I love collecting the star bits. I think it's a very, very fun mechanic that also it engages your brain in multiple ways, which is also good because Mario Galaxy, we didn't really talk about it, pretty damn easy video game overall. So I think giving you almost like a side activity to do while you're playing is actually very successful, at least for me. I can't speak to anyone else, but you can also shoot your accumulated star bits to stun enemies and do other things. There's also a 2-player mode, which I think I've literally never tried, where the other person also has a cursor and can like freeze certain enemies and objects in place. I'm sure it's fun if you have like a young kid or whatever with you.
Yes. That's how I did it. Yeah, this was a great my little brother, he would have been like maybe 5 when this game came out. And so like this was a great like little brother mode. He used to love just coming into my room watching me play video games. And yeah, being able to pass him, the Wii remote and let him kind of just like collect things, shoot star bits at enemies or whatever. Like, yeah, that was very, very successful for us. And they did with Galaxy 2, they made the co-star Luma or whatever, so you kind of have more capabilities in that way. But yeah, that was a cool way to kind of play that with him. So fond memories there. But yeah, I gotta say, I love the star bits too. I have always wanted to eat the star bits.
They look delicious, and you feed them to the Lumas all the time. They look great.
Yeah. They look like little sugar crystal candies or something. I don't, at the risk of sounding like Diego Luna talking about Jabba the Hutt, I don't want to, the texture of the star bits. I don't want, but I do. I'm like, man, every time I play these games, I just like think about like what the different flavors of them must be, like how like crunchy they must be, and I like looking at the trailer for the latest trailer for the Mario Galaxy movie. Mario's like holding a little star bit in his hand, and I'm like, man, I hope he eats one of these star bits in that movie.
Yeah, I want to know how they taste. What the movie can do for the canon, is letting me know how the star bits taste.
Yes.
I associate them with food. They just, on their own, they look delicious, but also they have a habit of like say you're in the level that everything's made of like cake and cookies. It's like a bonus galaxy or whatever, sweet treat galaxy or something. And so there's even more food association there. And then like the cake is like topped with star bits scattered throughout. Yeah, I want to eat these damn things, especially like, dude, the way the Lumas scream when you feed them, and they
must be delicious.
Like you don't do that unless something's great going on.
Yeah, when the star bits hit, man, like that's like you can tell they just, something about those star bits are just satisfying, dude. Like I love mini M&Ms, and
they're so good.
Yeah, like I love getting like a tube of mini M&Ms, and you just get like a mouthful of mini M&Ms. And it's just something about like the fact that they're small, like the textural like contrast of that, of just having all those mini M&Ms like filling your mouth. That's how I imagine the Lumas are when you're like stuffing them full of star bits, and I'm just like, I'm jealous of them in that moment. I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like load me up with star bits, baby. Like that's what I want.
I do want to quickly also mention that there are some like other motion control functions and even mini games. Like you can race on a manta ray by twisting the Wii remote around, kind of like a key, kind of almost like a WarioWare mini game. You can have Mario walk on top of a ball and roll around. That you kind of like, you hold the Wii remote, or
it's like a joystick,
Joy-Con up like a joystick, right? And then you're tilting it around. Very fun. I like that stuff, and I know people were big babies about it back then too. But
I think it works really great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I will say, trying to play it handheld on Switch, I don't like the rolling ball levels, but with a Joy-Con, it's fantastic. I do like that quite a bit. And then also stuff like Mario like goes in a bubble, and then you're having to point the Wii remote cursor around and like press A to blow wind and like send him in different directions. I also really like those levels a lot. I think those are some of the standout levels in the entire game to me, honestly. Did you have any other notes on like the Wii remote functionality on this game?
I just think it's fun. I've always thought that the Wii remote stuff was fun. And a lot of people, like, you remember how up in arms people were about like oh, Waggle, You know, they would call it like the waggle, like with the Wii remote. And I'm like, is it really that? Are you guys like that lazy that slightly moving your hand to do the spin in Mario Galaxy is like a huge deal for you?
Dude, like it's crazy. I know someone, a friend of mine, who is like, I'd never bothered playing Mario Galaxy until it came to the Switch, despite the fact that he's a huge Mario fan, because I don't want to shake the controller around. I'm like, dude, what are we talking about here? Like, you actually have to be kidding me with this. Like, this, it's ridiculous.
I agree. It's the same with like people refused to play Skyward Sword until it came to Switch for that same reason. Now, finally, I can play a Zelda game with a proper controller.
The way it was not intended to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Like to me, I actually, like I said, I streamed Galaxy 2 on the Bit Harmony YouTube channel, and I had to like literally like kind of retrain my brain. It took me a good few minutes to like get used to playing the game with a pro controller. Like it didn't feel right, and it still doesn't feel right. You know, these games are best played the way they were designed, you know, and like, I mean, yeah, I feel like we're beating a dead horse talking about this. We've talked about this in relation to Kid Icarus Uprising. We've talked about this in relation to Stephanie, but like people are just so resistant to any like kind of friction with controlling their games whatsoever. I was reading in the Iwata Asks, I think it was the Galaxy 2 one, Koizumi was talking about how he considers playing a Mario game like learning how to play an instrument. And it's like, anybody can pick up a guitar and, you know, play a note or two and kind of fumble your way through it. Like anybody could play a Mario game and kind of get the basic gist. But like if you want to get good and you want to learn chords and you want to learn how to play a full song, you have to spend time and learn it, you know? And like, I don't know, man. Like I never understood that. And it always drove me nuts when people like reduced Wii motion controls in that way, just for the sake of like being dumb and lazy and resistant to any sort of like new control methods in a video game. Like,
well, again, it comes back to like the B and Spring Mario stuff. Like those aren't even using the motion controls, and people still didn't like them because they make Mario play slightly differently, even though again, that's the entire point. Also, when it comes to like the lazy man's play method, let me tell you, the Wii Remote nunchuck were a revelation for me, because then all of a sudden I could just sit there in my chair with both of my arms at my side, because they were separate controllers. That is still to this day how I prefer playing Switch and Switch 2 games with two disconnected Joy-Con, because I love just sitting there with my hands at like my legs or at my side or whatever. I think it's the most comfortable gaming there is, even with motion controls. I quite like it, but yeah,
man.
I just get tired of the big gamer baby control stuff and whatever. Before we go on the next break, I just wanted to, I wrote down like the lasting effects of Super Mario Galaxy on the series here.
Yeah, this is good to take note of, yeah.
Especially as we go into talking about Galaxy 2 and whatever. So for one, again, we talked about it, but this was the introduction of Rosalina, of course, the Lumas, and also Captain Toad, which we did talk a fair bit about Captain Toad on the last episode. So don't need to get super into it here. He has a bigger role in later entries in the series, but this was his first appearance. And of course, the implications of Rosalina, which we already talked about, are pretty fascinating. I'm not a big Rosalina is Peach's mom person, but again, the space god aspect I think is very, very fascinating and cool. Again, this Mario Galaxy put the series on the path of de-emphasizing camera control, and that lasted for a decade until Mario Odyssey. Gusty Garden, which again we talked about, became the most lasting and referenced Mario theme since like the original Super Mario Bros. Like you don't hear 3 in World music referenced anywhere near as often as even Gusty Garden Galaxy, right? So that's important. Also, the soundtrack in general, it was the first Mario game, and I believe the first Nintendo game to have an orchestrated soundtrack, which was a pretty big deal at the time. And yeah, they're making a damn movie that is partially based off of this one, at least using the title of this one and introducing Rosalina and stuff. So Mario Galaxy was a pretty huge deal at the time. And yeah, we already kind of went over our thoughts and feelings on it, but yeah, just for its time, this was an amazing roller coaster ride for me. I couldn't have asked, I couldn't have been happier with a video game in 2007 than Mario Galaxy. Again, as the years have gone on and I value different things, Mario Galaxy is like, honestly, like besides Sunshine, is maybe my pick for the worst 3D Mario game. But again, I even like Sunshine, so it's not like that's a bad thing either. What I come to value in games is player expression, be that like decorating in Animal Crossing or builds in RPGs or even skill expressions in platformers. And you really don't have like any room for that in Mario Galaxy. Now you can do some cool tricks to skip certain sections with like the gravity stuff going on and whatever. There's some of that, but it's very, very minimal because of how the game is designed. So I think Mario Galaxy as like a first time playthrough is maybe even the best 3D Mario game. But to go back to, it's not very fun to just play in a way that most of the other Mario games are.
Yeah, Mario Galaxy for me is a vibe piece. You know, like I'm there for the vibes. I'm there for the, you know, for the quiet sadness. I'm there for that stuff. I'm there for the whimsy and like that kind of like Disney orchestration. I'm there for all of that. That's kind of what I come to that game looking for. You know, and a lot of the design is really creative and stuff, but it is not in the same. We talked about this, I think, even in relation to 3D World in the last episode, so I won't beat this drum too much, but it definitely is not in the same lineage of 64 and Odyssey and Sunshine and stuff like that. Like, it is not a big open, like, interconnected thing. It's almost its own thing, and really it's just Nintendo fans kind of like their like predilection to kind of like sort and organize like Mario games into neat boxes and categories that causes this kind of discourse. But the Mario Galaxy games really are kind of their own thing, and if anything, that's what I appreciate about them more as time has gone on. And yeah, like they're you know, it's fallen in my estimation quite a lot over the years too, but to say that Mario Galaxy is the worst 3D Mario game is like saying, like, you know, this is the worst slice of pizza or something like that. Like, it's still great. Yeah. You know,
like I still got all 120 stars in the past week and a half, despite the fact that I didn't need to play it at all, really. But it is still fun to experience. It's just not, like it is really down to the fact that it is such a linear experience that it just doesn't leave as much for like replayability as like any other Mario game, basically. Maybe the last and most important lasting effect of Mario Galaxy is that it was a big enough deal to warrant a sequel in Mario Galaxy 2, which we are going to talk about after this next break, which is a dedicated Mario Galaxy 2 break. So we're going to listen to Yoshi Star Galaxy, Honey Hop Galaxy, and Slimy Spring Galaxy, all from Mario Galaxy 2. I'll note that Yoshi Star Galaxy was composed by Koji Kondo, Honey Hop was composed by Mahito Yokota, and Slimy Spring was composed by Ryo Nagamatsu. And we will be right back. And that was Yoshi Star Galaxy, Honey Hop Galaxy, and Slimy Spring Galaxy. For Yoshi Star, this is maybe the song I have the least notes for of this whole episode, but it's just I love it. Like it's what, the second level of the game basically, or like
Yeah.
third, something like that. You just played it just a couple days ago, so it's a grand reintroduction of Yoshi, right? So that's already a cool thing. That's one of like the major selling points of Galaxy 2 is that they have Yoshi back. And so Yoshi always has like specific instrumentation tied to him. Like, famously in Mario World, when you're writing Yoshi, it adds like a percussion layer to the soundtrack and whatever. So this instrumentation in Yoshi Star Galaxy having like hand drums and xylophones and stuff, that all makes sense. But also, I notice, at least at the start, it has a very Crash Bandicoot feel to it.
Sure.
That I didn't remember until I was listening to the song to make notes today. By the time it starts getting more into like the maracas and mouth harp stuff, it starts feeling like more traditional Yoshi music, but it's just interesting how it starts. But that was really the main note that I had for Yoshi Star.
Yeah, this is like my sort of, I don't want to say dark horse pick because this is so early in Mario Galaxy 2, but I will go as far as to say that like this is, in the way that Gusty Garden Galaxy is probably the Mario Galaxy song, I think this is the Galaxy 2 song for me.
Mm-hmm.
It is just so much fun. Like the horn leads in this are so like game show coded. Especially when you have like the flute playing the melody at the same time as the horns. Like I love that. Like I love the sound of that. I love like how funky the guitar in the background sounds, how like bouncy the bass line is. Like it's just a fun song, man. And like, yeah, it was so great to see the return of Yoshi. I love Yoshi. He's one of my favorite Nintendo characters, one of my favorite Mario characters. Like I love Yoshi. And it was interesting like reading the Iwata Asks again, because yeah, like Yoshi was meant to be in Galaxy 1, but they didn't want to put Yoshi in as just like a gimmick in a couple of levels. And they also didn't want Yoshi to be a main focus like they knew they would have wanted him to be, because there's already so many new concepts going on. So like Yoshi almost demanded a Galaxy 2, and I think they get so much good mileage out of Yoshi in the game. Like I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I love all of Yoshi's like different power-up implements. I like that he still, you know, more or less operates the way he did back in Mario World. You know, like the idea of like if he takes damage, he's still going to run off like he does in that game. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that this song captures Yoshi like really, really well and strongly. It's a great like sort of almost proof of concept of Mario Galaxy 2 in general. Yeah, I love it. This was the one, like when I was replaying Mario Galaxy 2, which I had replayed Galaxy 1 fairly recently, but Galaxy 2 I had not replayed since probably like 2011 or 2012 or something. It had been a long damn time since I had like the opportunity to replay Galaxy 2. So doing it in prep for this episode was a real treat, and getting to this stage, like you said, it's very early on, it's level 2 or 3, and just being like, oh yeah, man, yes, this is Galaxy 2, yes, okay, right, I'm back here now. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I haven't played Galaxy 2 since it came out on the Wii U eShop, back when you could buy Wii games digitally on the Wii U. So that was like 2015, 16, something like that. I do want to replay this, especially now after having just beaten Galaxy 1. It's just the price on Switch. I'm just like, I don't want to spend $40
it's crazy
on Galaxy 2 right now. But it is cool that it's there for me to get like $5 off on sale in a couple years, maybe. Yeah, in terms of other notes for the song, I just wanted to say that this is my other pick for favorite song to listen with headphones in this episode.
Hell yeah.
You can hear the shaker in your right ear, like someone is just like right there doing it next to you. I quite like that. It's very fun. But yeah, I noticed that like, yeah, these first two Galaxy 2 songs we have are just like very, very fun songs in general. Yeah, speaking of that, so Honey Hop, originally you had said you wanted the Honey Hive Galaxy from the first Mario Galaxy in as a Mario Galaxy 1 song. But then, yeah, neither of us remembered at the time that they actually rearranged it for Mario Galaxy 2 here. And this is so much cooler than the original.
Yeah, just more full. Like they just kind of like enhanced it, you know, for this, and they just added some really fun little bits of instrumentation. I will go as far as to say this. 2026 Seth would say pretty confidently that I think that Honey Hop Galaxy is my favorite song across these two games.
It is extremely good. I don't think that's crazy to say at all. This is like the biggest glow up for me in like the 10 years since I've played Mario Galaxy 2. Yeah.
I love how that like main horn stinger is so like nasty and like it sounds like a bee buzzing, but just like that kind of like trill on it. I love it. My favorite thing about this song is that kind of like surf rock guitar going on in the background. Like, God, I love the sound of that, just kind of noodling back there against like the chill like flute and marimba, which, you know, just instantly like that kind of just sends you right back into like a nostalgic place. Has a little bit of like a Banjo-Kazooie vibe to it, you know, like this song to me is like, it's very funky and fun, but it also has a little bit of like, I feel like I'm strolling down, the summer street to go perform like slam poetry or something like that. Like there's some kind of vibe of that in there too.
Yeah, I have like a lot of the same notes that you have, basically, like between like the instrumentation with like mouth harp or harmonica, whatever it is, but then also these like flutes that come in right after that. It all feels so cute, but like warm at the same time. It's like I'm out
Yeah.
for like a walk in like a public park or something in summer, and there's bugs flying all over the place. There's these very deep like blubs that start coming in around 38 seconds in. I assume it's some kind of percussion thing. And yeah, that just brings to mind like a big old fat bumblebee just kind of like clumsily buzzing around and whatever.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I loved this. This was such a fun. Like I said, I remembered the Honey Hive from Galaxy 1, and it's a great song, but this version just like steamrolls it in all ways.
Yeah.
I also just want to mention though, like the end section, like where before it transitions back to the start. The instrumentation here that they use is so damn trippy. It's like, I don't know, it's like a scene of wizards huffing magic steam out of a teapot or something. Like it's it's so weird and interesting. I really loved it. But yeah, we talked about the B stuff quite a bit. My other notes were just about like how much more I remember liking the B levels in 2 because of them having a more side-scrolling focus and stuff. But yeah, this was a fantastic pick, and this is my buoy base, and that I wouldn't have really thought about this very much until you brought it up and we were listening to both of them. For Slimy Spring, this is like my favorite song from Galaxy 2, and I don't care that it probably doesn't play that well as like someone listening to a podcast or whatever.
Sure.
It's very ambient. I'm not going to have like a ton of notes for the song itself. I just like how different it is. Like it feels like it doesn't belong in a Mario game, right? So like
very weird and like liminal, right?
Yeah, which, Nintendo and Mario games, they do have weird stuff here and there and even creepy stuff here and there, but it never felt like this to me before. And yeah, this stage in the game is you're going down this like dark underwater current. It's just like a straightforward path, basically. I think there's maybe a couple offshoots you can go down, but it's a pretty straightforward level. Like literally, there's not really much to deviate from. But then at the very end, you come out of the water, and it's like this beautiful sunrise in the background as you're in this like underwater cave.
Yeah.
And you see like the chest with the star in it or whatever. It's beautiful. It's maybe my favorite 3D Mario moment ever. Like just coming out of the water after this long, dark, underwater kind of scary path, and you come out to this gorgeous sunrise or sunset or whatever it is. It's visually
like probably the best moment across both games.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I really like this was a cool pick, and I think that like this is one that I think a lot of people also wouldn't associate with the game or even like really remember, but I do think that there's something about the place that this song puts you in emotionally, like, and I do think that it's kind of an interesting melding of the like the ocean and space are a lot alike, you know, like, and I'm kind of existentially terrified of both for similar reasons. And for me, that is kind of like what this song brings up, but not in a negative way. Like, I want to feel if I'm playing a game set in space and I'm listening to a music about like the sort of liminal nature of space, like represented in music, I want to feel comforted in like a sound bath, but I also want to be scared of it. And that's kind of what this song does. It also kind of does that, like, we've talked about this on the show before too, but that Animal Crossing like 1 a.m. thing where like it starts to get weird and starts playing like these like little offbeat and like muted, like almost disconnected notes that kind of like almost signal to the player like, hey, like you shouldn't be here. You should probably go to bed.
Yeah, like something's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that it kind of has that energy to it too. Yeah.
Mario Galaxy 2, in my memory, and again, it's been a decade since I've played it, has a lot more moments like that than Galaxy 1. You know, again, there's way less of a story emphasis in Galaxy 2, but they do get like these weird moments through like gameplay or even like set dressing of, I don't know, weird creepiness. I remember in like a late game level, it might have even been Game Explain or something, had a video on it back then, but there's like these weird structures in the background that look like they have eyes and like they're watching you way,
Yeah.
way far in the background. And then people were like looking up, ripping the game's data and like looking at file names and stuff, and they're called like hell trees or something like that. That's
Yeah.
even saying that right now, it's middle of the day, my wife is home, I still got like the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I'm like, the concept of hell trees watching me in Mario is not very nice.
Yeah, I think it was I think they're called like Hell Valley Sky Trees.
Oh,
I
that's
think
even
is what they're
worse.
called.
Hell Valley, that's awful.
Yeah. There was a fanfic back in the day. I think it was called Beyond Hell Valley or something like that. I remember that, which talked about kind of like it went into like the backstories of the creatures and stuff.
That just sounds like the worst thing to put on a salad. I don't want to go beyond Hell Valley anytime soon. Did you have any other notes then on any of these songs?
No, and the yard work is starting outside my apartment here, so
It's fine. There's
hopefully.
ambulances going off constantly over here for some reason. I guess that signals then. Let's start talking a little in depth about Super Mario Galaxy 2. This section inherently will not be anywhere near as long as the previous section, just because it is built very much off the bones of Mario Galaxy 1. This was released in May of 2010, revealed at E3 2009. To my memory, I didn't rewatch the entire conference or look anything up, but this is really their showstopper of E3 2009. You know, I don't think anyone was really expecting a Mario Galaxy 2. We never had a direct sequel to a 3D Mario game. I don't think anyone was expecting that to be different here. Also, E3 2008 and 2009 were like miserable for kind of the whole game industry. That was like the scaled back years of E3. For Nintendo in particular, it really sucked. Like, Nintendo was still having cool stuff coming out back then, but in terms of like putting on cool shows back then, I think E3 2008 and 2009 is probably why they started transitioning, at least partially, to Nintendo Directs a few years later. Because
yeah, sure.
This sucked. Like, these were not fun E3s to watch. That said, despite this being a showstopper, we're still in that era of very quaint video game trailers at E3. This is a little bit more exciting of a trailer than Super Mario Galaxy 1, but not by much, and it still had the weird, way more realistic looking face ship that is oddly terrifying to me in the trailer. Galaxy 2 started off development as Super Mario Galaxy More, which that's an incredible title, and I wish it was just called Super Mario Galaxy More. The original idea was they were going to reuse almost all of the assets from Galaxy 1, but repurpose them into new things. Almost sounds like the Master Quest in Ocarina of Time or whatever kind of idea.
Yeah.
But then development just ballooned, and there were enough ideas left on the cutting room floor to expand this out to a full sequel. So as we said before, Yoshi's here now. There's new power-ups. But otherwise, it really is just like a direct follow-up to Galaxy 1. And again, with a de-emphasis on the story. And maybe the biggest thing at the time was that they were really selling the idea that this is a much harder game than Galaxy 1.
It is.
It is definitely a way harder game than Galaxy 1. Though I still don't think it's approaching like the hardest stuff of like 3D World or whatever. But we'll get into that in a little bit, I guess. Before we do that, though, what was your reaction to the mere existence of Galaxy 2? Because as I mentioned, I don't think many people were expecting this at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting it, and it was a surprise, but not an unpleasant surprise. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm down for that. Like I said, working at GameStop at the time, I remember, I think I've told this story before. I remember Eric came in to pick up his copy of Galaxy 2, and I was working that morning, and I sold him his copy. He went back to his barracks and started playing it or whatever. I don't know if he had the day off or whatever. And he came back like a few hours later, and I was still stuck at work. I hadn't had a chance to play it yet, and so I was pissed off. I was kind of like, it was like, how is it, you know? And I remember he said something to the effect of like, he was like, I would need to save an orphaned kitten from a burning tree to be a good enough person to deserve Super Mario Galaxy 2. He said something like that, which I thought was funny, but I couldn't wait to just get out. I remember like I ended up having to work a double shift that day too. I was furious, and I got home and directed all of that rage into just like a 8-hour Mario Galaxy 2 session into like the wee hours of the night. It was a situation where the person coming in to close that night couldn't make it, so instead they took my opening shift the next day. So I basically worked a double, but then I had the next day off. So I just, it was all Galaxy 2 all the way down from that point on. And yeah, I loved it. You know, and it's been really great getting to replay it, because I think in a lot of ways I do prefer this to the first game, but as we've kind of already talked about, they are very different.
Yeah, I'll save a lot of my like initial Galaxy 2 like playing through it thoughts until the next break. I think it ties into one of the songs we're breaking for, but
Sure.
The main thing I remember was like, yeah, coming home with my copy, and I got to like World 3 in a couple hours, and then I'm like, I have to turn this off. I don't want to finish this in like a day and then have to wait like 5 more years for the next 3D Mario or whatever, right? Now, granted, 3D Land, we didn't know at the time that would be out a year and a half later, but again, we didn't know that at the time. But yeah, this is already, I was starting to be more concerned with like, oh, I should savor this experience more instead of just blasting through it like I used to as a teenager or whatever. Yeah, as we said, the story is very de-emphasized in Mario Galaxy 2, despite how little there already was to chew on in 1. It kind of starts off with like almost like a retelling of Galaxy 1, sort of like Mario's invited to Peach's castle for cake, and then he runs into a Luma along the way who teaches him how to spin, and then
Goes into the cap, by the way, kind of like a proto Cappy a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, the cap actually is like kind of important in Galaxy 2 in a way I didn't fully remember. But yeah, then giant Bowser shows up instead of an airship fleet and a UFO. It's just one giant Bowser grabbing
He's just
Peach,
big,
and then he just like weirdly, awkwardly floats off. It's almost like he's got a big bee suit, but it's invisible. The way he like just like, all right, see ya, and then he floats off into space, and then that's kind of it. Like Mario ends up on a like planetoid, and then meets is Lubba his name, the name of that big Luma, the big purple Luma. They repurpose that like rock into a ship, kind of like a natural looking spaceship that is shaped like Mario's face, hence face ship that I keep saying, which is a fantastic pun, one of the best things Nintendo's ever written. That's kind of about it when it comes to the story. There's barely anything here. There's way less dialogue than the first game, and again, you don't even have like the big hub world of the Comet Observatory here. You're just on the face ship, and you just select levels by going up to the helm of the ship and selecting it from like a menu. The face ship is much smaller. There's not much to do there in general, so you're mostly going there just to navigate to the next level. And again, that is a big improvement, but yeah, to me, it's like, damn, man, like, it'd be nice if there was a happy medium between like big, empty, boring space and then basically nothing space. You know, I miss Mario 64's hub world. Nintendo's never done a hub world as good as Peach's Castle in Mario 64 ever again. But yeah, I definitely prefer the face ship to the Comet Observatory. But yeah, otherwise, this is all about like the gameplay and mechanical updates as opposed to anything with the story.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You already kind of mentioned, definitely more challenging right away. Like the game sort of, I don't know, like maybe it assumes that you had played the first game already or something. But either way, it doesn't take very long for the game to kind of like get a little bit of teeth to it, which I appreciate. I think that you mentioned it earlier, but I think that Galaxy 1 is the better first time play, but I think that Galaxy 2 from a pure game design perspective, like and just like, you know, playing it again and coming back to it, I really kind of appreciate the removal of all of that fluff. Particularly when it comes to like navigating the face ship and the levels and stuff. Probably my least favorite part of Galaxy 1 is just like the Cosmic Observatory or Comet Observatory or whatever. It's annoying, man.
Yeah, it's too
like,
big and you're so slow. It sucks.
You're slow. It sucks. It's hard to navigate. You have to do like this weird like guesswork to even like find where like the comets are, the comet stars are going to be and stuff. And I don't like it. It's so much more straightforward here, and like there's such a removal of like putting up the barriers between you and actually getting into the game, which I really have come to appreciate. I don't know. It was a total joy replaying this game. And I will say this, one thing that's kind of funny about this game too is that like there's even like maybe a little bit of influence from this seeping its way into the Mario movies too, where I had forgotten that like Bowser gets shrunk down in this at the end.
Like, I didn't remember that either.
Yeah, there's that kind of thing going on too. It's funny, like it's kind of interesting to see the way this stuff bleeds its way into the movies.
I mean, yeah, there's so much I don't know, stuff on the peripheral in Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 that they can take from, but then that makes it so weird that the movie scenes we've shown is taking stuff still from like everywhere. Like there's Mario 2 and Odyssey elements super emphasized in the movie trailers, whereas I'm just like, you could just do Galaxy. You could save the Odyssey stuff for an Odyssey
just
movie.
make it Galaxy.
Yeah. You know, a thing in general with Galaxy 2 that I like, that even though it de-emphasized the story and text and whatever, I do like how much more, I don't know, bright and colorful the game is. Like even the box art is way more like green and blue than the outer spacey backdrop of the cover of 1. There is something very joyous about Galaxy 2 that I don't know if it's in the text or if it's me reading into it because I was in a much happier place in my life when 2 came out versus 1. But yeah, there's something very like joyous and freeing about Galaxy 2 that I like. And yeah, part of it is even the rate of play of being able to actually get into a level as fast as you want to or whatever, which is very nice. As we mentioned with the Yoshi Star Galaxy, Yoshi is kind of like the big front and center, big mechanical difference in this game. You can hatch him from an egg in specific levels. While riding Yoshi, your on-screen Wii Remote pointer goes from being a star to like a big red dot representing his tongue, I guess.
His tongue, yeah.
And then you can use that. You can like point it at the screen and then like use, is it the B button or something on the Wii Remote to gobble up enemies, and they turn into star bits. And you can also interact with objects like pulling like drawers open kind of, or like using it to cross gaps with as like a swing basically. Also has his iconic flutter jump from Yoshi's Island and whatnot. And as we mentioned earlier too, Yoshi has his own specific sets of power-ups. That's the Dash Pepper, the Blimp Fruit, and the Bulb Berry. The Bulb Berry is very, very fun to say. Those all they kind of do what you expect them to do. Dash Pepper, Yoshi runs so fast he can even scale up like full on like 90-degree vertical surfaces. Blimp Fruit is my favorite from a visual perspective because Yoshi just inflates real big and Mario's just like clinging onto him as like air comes out of him and you're just going straight up. And then the Bulb Berry that we talked about before kind of gives you like, it has a couple different functions, but yeah, largely it's making like platforms that are otherwise invisible appear before you. Also works on a timer, so yeah, the challenge is I have to quickly move while I have this Bulb Berry activated and get through this platforming section, and I'll just die basically if the Bulb Berry goes out before I'm ready. When it comes to differences with Mario, they did add a few new power-ups here. You had the spin drill, which Mario is holding like a giant drill above his head, and then you can spin over like dirt or soft ground, and then he'll go straight into it and just go down. Usually you'll end up on like the other side of the planetoid that you drill into when you do that. Sometimes it's like puzzle solving stuff of you have to like drill into ground at the right angle, and then he'll bounce off of a surface and go somewhere else to help you solve puzzles or whatever. You have Cloud Mario, where you can spin to put down up to 3 cloud platforms, and also Mario is way floatier. Also, I love Cloud Mario's design. He just got like a big puffy cloud hat on and white overalls. I just really, really like Cloud Mario a lot. And lastly, there's Rock Mario, where you shake the Wii Remote and you go crashing forward as a boulder that lets you destroy enemies and objects you normally wouldn't be able to. I'll just say about the Rock Mario transformation, I remember dying more on like one of the late game boulder challenges than like any other level in either of these games. Like Mario's purple coins in either of these games has nothing on that damn Rock Mario boulder bowling level that I remember.
It's pretty unwieldy. Yeah, the rock, it can be anyway. Like especially if the if the level is more demanding, you know, of it. Yeah.
Also worth noting that all the power-ups from 1 are back besides ice, and again the pretty useless flying one. They have like one level where you freeze the surface of a lake, and that you basically have the ice power-up, but Mario just doesn't look different essentially. Also, like Spring Mario is back, but I think it's literally only used for 1 star in the entire game, probably because they just know people were big whiny babies about the damn Spring Mario thing. We talked about it briefly, but yeah, you can unlock Luigi to play as in this. In 1, you had to get all 120 stars before playing as Luigi. Here, you just have to like do a certain level, and then you unlock the ability to just switch between them, but I don't think it counts your stars separately, if I remember correctly.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a couple of different, like you have your main stars there. Yeah. The hidden stars. And yeah, Luigi, you can, right from really the beginning, he'll just like periodically pop up and you can just play as Luigi if you want to. Yeah.
And yeah, Luigi, he's different in both of these games the way you expect. He jumps higher and can't like stop sliding, like he has less friction. Though I also find that he just moves a lot faster in general too, which I guess makes sense because there's only Mario and Luigi. Galaxy 2 does still reach the 242 total stars to collect number, but this time they did it in a much more interesting way where you unlock green stars. I think you have to get all 120 normal stars before it unlocks green stars. And this just basically puts hidden green stars in all of the previous levels. So like if there are 3 normal power stars in a level, there are now also 3 green stars for you to find there. These are very, very fun. I loved the green stars overall. There's some that were like annoying or whatever, but I really like the idea of, I actually have to like explore the environment and like find weird hidden spots that like you might not even think to be going to find the green stars. Honestly, I think the green stars is maybe like the best 3D Mario post-game activity ever. I really, really liked them at the time.
I agree. And well, and it also... It's also kind of more baked into the game's design as it is too, because you'll be playing the game. There are a couple of different ways the game handles like hidden stars, where sometimes you'll see a Luma that wants like X amount of coins, and then they, open up a pathway to a new star or something like that. But sometimes there'll just be a star like that's kind of well hidden and off the beaten path that isn't even a green star. Like it just is another star, and it is more. It is more accurate, more close to that feeling of like Mario 64 or Sunshine or something, where you can just like bump into other things while in the level. You never really got that with Galaxy 1. And in this one, it's not all the time, but it is in there. And I like that. And yeah, to your point, like having that reason to kind of like go back to the previous levels and look at them in a different way by way of the green stars, I think is really smart.
Yeah, I'm a big sucker for like giving me reasons to go back to levels, especially like in a game like this that's just so like lovely and fun to look at, and the music is so good. yeah, give me a reason to go back to Yoshi Star Galaxy again and hear that music again and do different
Mm-hmm.
things, even though nothing in the levels have changed. You just hid 3 green stars in there for me to find or whatever. But yeah, I really loved it at the time. I thought that was, it literally like doubled the content of the game, but felt less cheap than like getting all the stars again as Luigi, but counting them separately or whatever, which
Right.
not a big fan of how they handled that in Galaxy 1, even though Luigi is fun to play. But yeah, that's kind of it for like the generalities. I don't know, did you have anything you specifically wanted to shout out about Galaxy 2 we hadn't talked about yet? Were there any favorite levels in either of the games that we hadn't talked about?
I think we covered the vast majority of it. I do like how I mean you mentioned that they that they sort of, you know, shaved off stuff like the ice and the flying power-ups, but they do find ways to implement some of those ideas still, like you said, like freezing over water, or there's a cool level where you like kick like snowballs over lava and it makes kind of like a little frozen path for you in Galaxy 2. That's kind of a cool little level gimmick, and they got a little more wacky with some of the level designs, and the you know, there's like a level where the gravity is kind of controlled by these switches that like follow you, so the way that you're walking is also changing like the way the direction that gravity is pointing. So if I walk more to the right, there's going to be an arrow pointing to the right, and all of a sudden I'm on the right wall because gravity has shifted that way. I don't know, there's just a lot of cool, weird little ideas in Galaxy 2, like buttons that temporarily stop time and you know, and stuff like that. I remember I was reading in the Iwata Asks, like when they were thinking of Galaxy 2, they initially wanted to do things that would like change the world state a lot. Like that was like a big kind of like gameplay conceit, and they wound up kind of scaling back and going back to the Galaxy 1 school of thought of like, well, let's just put some of these ideas as like in level implements rather than getting too big for our britches, you know. And I really I appreciate that about the game, and it kind of still maintains that feeling of creative ways of like exploring new concepts and creative like ideas that you've never experienced before in a game. You know, there was this feeling between the development team of when coming into Galaxy 2, like man, I'm tapped out. Like I put my everything into Galaxy 1. How are we going to come up with new ideas? And they talked about how they were surprised at how easy it was for them to come up with new ideas. And Iwata kind of remarked like, well, I think the reason it was easy for you guys to come up with new ideas is because you were exploring unexplored space. Like you were climbing a mountain that nobody had climbed before, and so everywhere you looked was something new. Mm-hmm. Every step you took was on new ground that had been stepped on for the first time, you know. And so you kind of, because nobody else had ever made a game like Mario Galaxy, the idea of putting them back into that headspace and saying, how many more ideas can you come up with? Yeah, they just kept coming out, you know, and I think that makes perfect sense. Like kind of now that I know that, and I think it comes through in the game. I think that there's a feeling of real like creative freedom and like a level of, we're not super concerned with, even though the game does have accessibility options that it introduced and stuff, and that's a very Nintendo thing to do, but like on a core level, the game is kind of not afraid to let the training wheels off and be a sequel to Mario Galaxy, you know, in that kind of like Luigi U sense, mm-hmm. you know, of like, here's another kind of pass at these ideas, but through a different lens, because we can operate under the assumption that you know what we're doing here, and we can give you things that are fun and new and get you to think about the game in a different way. I love that. Like that really has resonated with me a lot more now than it did back then.
Yeah, I really like you said, there's a sense of, yeah, like all bets are off. We can kind of do whatever we want at this point. Like, mm-hmm. I have a note about that for Puzzle Plank, in fact, the next song that we're breaking for. But I also love it represented as, I forget, is he called Cosmic Mario or whatever? Like the he showed up in Galaxy 1. You race him to Power Stars. But here he's used as like he mirrors all your movements, and if he touches you, you take damage or whatever. The levels where there's just like a whole line of Cosmic Marios following behind you, and you have to navigate around your own movements and stuff. It's genius. Like, those are the levels that stand out the most to me from a gameplay perspective in Galaxy 2 is the Shadow Mario or Cosmic Mario stuff. And yeah, I also really appreciate just the, hey, we're just doing whatever we want. Like, yeah, we still had like a loose outer space theme mostly prevailing through Galaxy 1. Here it's like, hey, we brought back the Piantas in a beach level for some reason, but then also we've got Puzzle Plank, which is everything's made out of wood, and buzzsaws are just chopping everything down as you go. Like,
yeah,
it feels way more playful in that way, and I appreciate that. Even though I also appreciate the slightly more consistent feel of Mario Galaxy 1. But yeah, I think just saying to hell with it and doing it whatever you want, I think, is a pretty fun idea for a direct sequel to Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
If that's all we got, then let's go on that next break. We've got Puzzle Plank Galaxy from Galaxy 2, the Galaxy Reactor from Galaxy 1, and then World 3 from Galaxy 2 again. So Puzzle Plank was composed by Ryo Nagamatsu, and World 3 and Galaxy Reactor were composed by Mahito Yokota. And we will be right back. And that was Puzzle Plank Galaxy, the Galaxy Reactor and World 3. For Puzzle Plank Galaxy, again, we're kind of dancing around it. I've even already described the level itself, but yeah, you're running along these giant pieces of wood, like floating in nothingness, and there are buzzsaws that are just going by and chopping everything down. This is such a standout, again, pretty early level. It's like the start of World 2, I think, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's such a standout early game Galaxy 2 level for me, both visually and platforming design wise and music wise.
Yeah.
This was like my one demand basically for Galaxy 2. Like I just felt like we had to have this. It's also funny because this to me is almost like the Space Junk Galaxy of Mario Galaxy 2. Obviously not tonally or visually or whatever, but yeah, it's just this moment where it feels like, oh, you've really re-examined what it's like to even design a Mario level, or in this case design a Mario Galaxy level. But yeah, I can't get enough of Puzzle Playing Galaxy.
Oh yeah, it rules. My my first note here, it just makes me laugh. I love it when I make the notes like far in advance of recording the show, because I feel like I'm reading them for the first time again, and I feel like a different person wrote these notes, which is funny. But my first note here is very strong barnyard antics in here. It does feel like that. Like it just that the opening drums are so sick. I love that like they come back in as like drum fills at a few points in the song, but it really is all about, for me, that kind of main string, like violin, fiddle, like kind of passage. It's so joyous. It's so happy. The bass line is so bouncy, and like that woodblock percussion almost kind of like, it sounds like a horse kind of clopping around in the background, and yeah, just like real good, like country, like a country farm in space is is what this song kind of gives you. And I just, those wood sounds, like this is a very like wooden, it's puzzle plank, like, and it's all like wood being cut with like buzz saws and stuff. Like this is a very, the feeling of wood is kind of very much conveyed in this song.
Yeah, at the start of the episode with Melty Molten Galaxy, we talked about how that was like the perfect blend of Mario music, but in space this time. This song is not concerned with being a spacey song at all. It's like, hey, what if we made a Mario song, but we got some fiddles in here? Like, that's what we want to do. Yep. And it's great. I mean, there is like a little bit of spaciness in the background, mostly. Like, there's some spacey kind of sounds or whatever. But yeah, I just love this. Like, this is one of the standout songs of all of Galaxy 2 for me. I do also want to do a very quick shout out to, I don't know, the like high pitched synth organ coming in around 19 seconds. I don't know. It just feels like I'm going to worship at the Church of Mario in the rural South at that point. It's very good.
Hell yeah, man. Like this is like the, I don't know, like I feel like I'm moseying around like the old timey, like a Mario General store or something to buy some locally sourced honey or something like that.
And like you said when you were streaming this, I forgot how cute the little woodblock NPCs are in this game.
They are cute.
They're very, very good. These dudes should come back.
Yeah, I agree. But put them in the movie. Maybe we'll see them in the movie.
If we've got Pikmin in the movie, we got to have the little woodblock dudes. Come on.
Right.
That's all I had for Puzzle Plank. Galaxy Reactor. This is the final level theme of Galaxy 1, and it just rips. I don't have too many notes on this one, but like, I just felt like we had to have this. Like, I don't know, this song, despite, again, we keep talking about how the story is not that big of a deal in either of these games, but like what little story there is in Galaxy 1, this does to me, it has the gravitas that I'm looking for in like a final level for a game called Super Mario Galaxy, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just love the subtle female like vocalizations, or like what I assume are meant to be female vocalizations.
Yeah, I thought I was going crazy. Hearing that, I was like, is that like a female vocalization back there, or is that like a distant synth thing? I'm so glad that you brought that up too.
I mean, I couldn't tell. it could just be a synth, but I think even if it is a synth, it's going for sounding like a female vocalization. And yeah, I don't know, that just brings to mind, like, yeah, Rosalina watching over you. We didn't talk about it, but like at the end of Galaxy, when you fully power up the Comet Observatory and Rosalina turns it into like a battleship, and you like fly across the universe and kind of like bust through Bowser's defenses. Genuinely cool. Like, I would like there to be more story. Again, we talked about it, but I would be down for more story in Galaxy 1. Because what's here is neat in an existential anime kind of way. But yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel like the female vocalization is like Rosalina and the Luma is kind of like supporting you and even like looking on and like praying for your success kind of thing. That's probably reading way too much into it for most people, but this is Bit Harmony, so I think it's appropriate.
I literally have, I'm going to read you what I wrote here word for word. I think I can detect a slight vocalization in the way back of the mix, but maybe I'm just crazy. But maybe it's meant to represent the distant voice of Peach you're trying to save, or maybe it's Rosalina and the Lumas supporting you. That's literally what I wrote word for word. and like, it's so like, yeah, that's exactly the read I had on it. And I thought I was going crazy at like, 1 a.m. writing these notes, hearing like what I thought was a female vocal in the back of this. Yeah, it feels epic. Like, it feels like it is like a great epic finale. It has that right mix of like a driving melody pushing you through obstacles, but also like that feeling of like I'm facing down an insurmountable challenge. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great finale.
Yeah. I really love like the Bowser boss fight themes across both these games too, and the Bowser level themes in Galaxy 2 are also great. But yeah, I don't know, this one in particular, it feels like it has like the appropriate weight, and I really wanted to throw it in here, and I'm glad I did, because yeah, I never noticed the female vocalization.
Neither did I
until this morning. So yeah, it's cool to notice that stuff when you're even with a song you're super familiar with like this. For World 3, this almost didn't make the cut. This is one of my favorite songs in Galaxy 2. I really like all the world map themes going on and all the face ship variations too. I really like all of these like hub world-esque things going on in Galaxy 2. But yeah, World 3 is my favorite, but I didn't think we'd be able to include it just because of how strong all like the main level themes across both these games are. So like I had to sacrifice one of my darlings, the Melty Monster Galaxy. I sacrificed for getting World 3 in here, but it's like the song I most associate with Galaxy 2 at this point. I think about it a lot because, as I kind of hinted at before, despite these games releasing only like 2.5 years apart, like, yeah, my life was so different. Like, I was still in high school with Galaxy 1. When Galaxy 2 came out, like, yeah, I was out of high school, but more important than that, like, I had just like a better like a group of friends, and I understood myself as a person better, and like what I wanted and like who I wanted to be around kind of thing. So I went from being a very like, I don't know, sad and lonely, misunderstood, like 17-year-old playing Galaxy 1 to I'm like 20 playing Mario Galaxy 2, and I'm like going out on dates, and I'm having a friend group that like genuinely I love and care about, and the same is towards me and whatever. Also, this game releasing, Galaxy 2 releasing in May as opposed to November, also adds to like this joyousness to it. Like I have so many like very cherished summer memories of 2010. So Mario Galaxy 2 is like a big part of that too. And yeah, I don't know, it just this song has such like a quiet determination to it. Like, it's like you're in the middle of the adventure, right? Like, you've made it through the first 2 worlds, but now things are going to start getting harder, but you've got this like quiet backing behind you. And to me, I just always took it as like, it's like a lesson I took from life is like, hey, if you really feel like you're doing the right thing, even if it's hard and it's not garnering results immediately, if you think you're doing the right thing, you should keep doing it, because there are rewards that'll come your way. You just have to stay determined and active in doing that thing. And like, that's everything that this song makes me think of.
Damn, it's a beautiful sentiment, dude. Yeah, I agree. It's funny you put that into words, and I felt like as I was listening to you describe that and that period of your life, I felt like I was kind of like I felt like I was kind of living it. Like I felt like I was kind of like feeling your emotions or something in that moment, and I can totally see why coming into this game compared to Mario Galaxy 1, like and illustrating those different periods of your life of like, like coming into a wild blue sky, as opposed to like the kind of darkness of space. Like I think that's pretty beautiful. And yeah, it is interesting that Mario Galaxy 1 released in November and Galaxy 2 released in May. It is the difference between like spring, summer versus like autumn, winter, kind of. It's interesting. Like it's almost like Nintendo was aware of what the sort of tonal difference between these two games would be, and it's cool to contrast that against the different eras of your life. Yeah, I love that. I don't have a lot of notes on this song, but I do have two little touchstones that this song made me think of. The first is going to tie into a future episode that we're doing soon, and the first is it reminded me of Tizanarkand from Final Fantasy X. Just that kind of like haunting, beautiful, like when this song, it's almost entirely piano for the first like minute of the song, which I think is really pretty, but there's these little like synth waves that kind of come in and out that reminded me of Space Cadet 3D Pinball.
Okay.
It gave me that. Like I couldn't help but think of that, and I have a huge fondness for that game too. So I was thinking of those two songs specifically when listening to this.
Yeah, I had the Tizanarkand in my head too, but yeah, no, I can't say the I don't even know if I know what game you're talking about. The 3D Space Cadet Pinball.
You don't know 3D Space Cadet Pinball? The Windows like pre-installed.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do know what you're talking about, but I can't think of like what it sounds like in any way or anything.
Oh,
like
dude,
that.
you have to play. You have to listen to some of those sound effects like that. There's this kind of song that or this sound bit that plays in that when you're kind of like shooting the ball. It doesn't sound like a normal like shooting a pinball sound. It's like a. It's like something about that. Like I was hearing that in this song.
I played a lot of like Windows built-in stuff. Also, my PC came with a disc of games that was called like After Dark games. Even though it sounds like it's sexy time games, it's not. It was like flying toasters and like Pac-Man ripoffs and stuff like that. Those were most of the games I was playing on my first PC. I didn't really mess with the 3D Space Cadet Pinball or whatever, but
I played so much of that.
I do remember it. I messed with it a bit, but I think also I just didn't like pinball that much until like we got like Pokemon pinball on Game Boy Color and stuff. So that's probably why I wasn't messing with it too much. But I did mess with it a little. I do remember it has such a late 90s like vibe to it. Yeah. I will watch some footage of it for this episode.
I bet you'll be taken back. Yeah, hear like I'll find the noise I'm talking about specifically, and you'll be able to hear it in there. This is my Fool in the Rain kind of moment here. I feel like.
With that all said, then are we ready to get into the YouTube comment oversharing corner?
Let's get into it.
This is the section of the show where we read off any funny, memorable, interesting, or downright insane comments we've stumbled across while grabbing songs for this episode. I will note that though we have a few insane ones, not nearly the level of Dead Grandma comments that I was expecting for this. I was surprised, but maybe pleasantly so. But there are some insane ones still.
There are a few.
Yeah, we got. I found a doozy of one late in the YouTube comment grabbing game. For this first one here, we've got YouTube user Hobodios commented on Milty Molten Galaxy 5 days ago, saying Beethoven wishes he was this good, but it's already pretty good. I like that. And then we've got YouTube user the Noisy Eater. Okay, that's also a great name. Replied 3 days ago. He also wishes he had access to sitars. Yeah, that's pretty good. You were the one that found most of these. I this is my first time reading these, and yeah, I quite like the sitar one specifically.
Well, I love the idea that that Beethoven, wishes he was this good is very funny already. But also the idea that Beethoven like when were sitars like invented? Like did he not have access to them? They're probably pretty old, right?
I assume sitars were definitely around way before Beethoven, but maybe just because of it was a less the world was less global at that point. Maybe that's what they mean. But I also assume Beethoven probably knew about sitars, is my guess. But I don't know. Actually,
maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know. But I like that. My first thought was like, these have got to be at least as old as Beethoven, right? But anyway, I thought it was very funny, and I like the arrogance of that. And weirdly, I didn't grab them all, but I probably saw at least 3 or 4 comments referencing Beethoven across various songs in here.
Is it just because everything's or most things are orchestrated? Is that what
I guess
the reference is? I'll also shout out, I don't remember the exact comment or what it was, but on the Symphony of the Night episode, someone was saying if only Bram Stoker could see Castlevania or hear this music. I'm like, I have a feeling he wouldn't care, is my guess, but I don't know.
There's all these different cartoon premises and stuff, like bringing historical figures into the present or whatever. I want to bring Beethoven into the present so that he can play Super Mario Galaxy. And wish that he had access to sitars.
That's basically the plot of Bill and Ted anyway.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay. YouTube user Feral Kang, or Pharrell Kang, maybe? It's spelled like Will Ferrell. It's spelled like Will Ferrell Kang. 4954 commented on Yoshi's Star Galaxy 1 month ago. A lot of these comments are recent. I have a feeling that Yoshi will speak English towards the end of the movie.
I agree with Pharrell Kang. Okay. They announced between the previous episode and now, they announced more of the voice cast or whatever. And Luis Guzman as Wart is
amazing.
That is the casting of a lifetime. I say that, I'm not even joking. I think that is brilliant casting. And I'll say Charlie Day as Luigi in the first movie is fantastic. Most of the casting that isn't Chris Pratt is actually pretty good. And I don't even, my issues with Chris Pratt as a person aside, Chris Pratt doesn't do
sucks as a dude.
Right, but he doesn't do
Mario,
a horrible.
fine.
Yeah, he's fine. They don't give him much to work with, but whatever, he's fine. Yeah, they casted Donald Glover / Childish Gambino as Yoshi, which is crazy. I think the casting announcements of the Mario movies are just genius. I think they're way more entertaining than the actual movie.
I think they know. I think they're self-aware. I think they know that the internet is going to get a lot of otherwise, why would they choose that picture of him with his chest hair out? To just so much aura coming off of him to announce that he was the voice of Yoshi,
I also think like I said, I do think Yoshi is probably gonna say something besides Yoshi in the movie. And I don't necessarily want him to, but at the same time, Yoshi does he can at least write, because he leaves notes for Mario and stuff in Galaxy 2.
I mentioned this when I was playing Galaxy 2. Yoshi he talks the first time you meet him. He straight up talks.
Yeah, in World also, when he hatches out the egg, he's like, "Thank you so much for rescuing me." Yeah,
Yoshi has been Flanderized over the years to not talk. So if Yoshi does speak English towards the end of the movie, it will be lore accurate for Yoshi to talk. Yoshi should speak. Yeah, let Yoshi speak.
Though that all said, there is a part of me that hopes it's like a George Clooney cast in South Park situation where George Clooney's agent really wanted to get him on South Park, and so as a joke they're like, yeah, you can voice the cat. So Cartman's cat meowing is just George Clooney, but he doesn't say it. It's just literally George Clooney meowing as a cat. If they got Donald Glover just to say variations of like Yoshi and grunts, that is also very funny.
I'm into it,
and I think that would be great.
Yep, agreed. I loved the sort of like impending dread that hangs over this comment.
There's also something that specifically that they're saying English is very, very funny to me. I don't know why, because like they're from Brooklyn and whatever, like they do speak English, but I don't know. It's just something about specifically English is very.
As opposed to, I have a feeling that Yoshi will speak Spanish towards the end of the movie.
For this next comment, which is already great, I read ahead. We got YouTube user Super Mario Fun Guy 14, which is so
what a great username, dude! I was so delighted when I saw that username.
Super Mario Fun Guy 14 commented on Space Junk Road 9 years ago. Is anyone here a Mario fan? I am, which that's great.
But yeah, in the YouTube comments for Space Junk Road, you're gonna be hard pressed to find some Mario fans in there. Super Mario Fun Guy 14 is one of my favorite. That might be my favorite username we've ever had on this show. I just love it so much.
It's up there. We've even had some real good ones lately too, but Super Mario Fun Guy is fantastic.
Well, we've got an insane one coming up here. YouTube user @MaskyToad commented on Slimy Spring Galaxy 3 years ago. This track is criminally underrated. Like, seriously, it gives such a powerful cold feeling, but with a bit of happiness. It's like waking up on December 23rd, because it's like 23th, December 23rd, and going outside in a small little neighborhood. It's cold and boring outside, but you can hear the Christmas songs in the distance. Feel and smell the Christmas mood.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack with this. So I'll just say, smell the Christmas mood. I mean, I guess they just mean food, but like, I agree with them for the first half of this comment, but then when we start getting specifically into Christmas, I'm like, I don't know what kind of Christmas you're having where you're thinking of Slimy Spring Galaxy.
Yeah, if that first sentence had been like the first two sentences had been where the comment ended, I would have been like, yeah, like this guy nailed it. Mm. But the second you started getting into December 23rd and talking about smelling the Christmas mood, I was like you just went in like temporarily insane. You had a stroke at the end there. So I've seen like the December 23rd before, not specifically December 23rd, but like ending a number with TH, even though it should be RD or whatever, right? Okay.
I swear that's like a British thing. And also the way they spell neighborhood is with OU, which is also the British spelling of it.
Is that right?
I think so, because I've seen it before, but it doesn't make sense to me, but I have seen that before.
That's fascinating. I've never heard of that. If that's true, we have British listeners. If that's true, y'all let us know. Like, am I being culturally insensitive for laughing at December 23rd? Is it December 23rd where you're from?
And if it's not British, I have seen it from like, I don't know, other countries before. Like, I've definitely seen the TH where it doesn't belong before.
That blows my mind. I saw it and I was like, what the hell am I looking at? December 23rd.
For this next one, we've got YouTube user Park Scythe commented on Puzzle Plank Galaxy 1 year ago. This is what eating an apple sounds like. And you know what? Honestly, yeah, but I think I can narrow it down. I actually agree with them on this. But also, I think of the little woodblock dudes and how they have like a little tiny stem with a leaf sticking out of their head, and I associate that with apples. So to me, it's less the music and it's more my association with the woodblock NPCs, I think.
By the way, do you know what those characters are called? Those little woodblock guys?
No.
It's delightful. They're called whittles.
Okay, that's fantastic. Nope, didn't remember that at all.
Very good. They're called whittles. So cute. Yeah, they nailed it. This is exactly what plays in my head when I eat an apple.
I want to preemptively apologize for this next one that you got settled into reading this and the response. It's truly insane.
Okay, so this is YouTube user Brinley9629 commented on Honey Hop Galaxy 8 years ago, and they just simply say, when you get an F on your test.
Which, very, very milquetoast, nothing really
fine.
there. It's the response that garnered this being on here.
Okay, so yeah, this response comes from Albert Snyder K3Z, who responded 2 years ago.
So 6 years later.
6 years later, and they're doing like the sort of like arrow point, like 4chan kind of thing here. It looks like when you're not old enough nor experienced in the world to compare anything in life other than school. Her, I'm so relatable. Look at me. I do tests just like Owl da Uther kids. Like, is that seriously the most interesting thing you can possibly compare it to? Your comment is as dry as a poem with a simile about a pencil.
I've never seen this level of aggression in the YouTube comments of a video game song before. It's crazy.
The like, I do tests just like, it's AWLL for like Owl da Uther kids. DEHUTHER. Like, what an innocuous comment to respond this way to.
6 years later, yeah. And also the fact it probably was a kid who doesn't have much experience in life besides school, man.
Hey, idiot. Your comment is as dry as a poem with a simile about a pencil. And the kid was probably like, what's a simile? Wow. Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, that one, my jaw was on the floor when I saw that. Also, the fact that it's on Honey Hop Galaxy
is so crazy.
For this last one, we've got YouTube user Truman Graham 3162 commented on World 3 1 day ago. That is honestly the main reason I added this. They just say, good night, everyone, and then like a sleepy smiley face. Or a sleepy emoji. Hope you are doing well today.
That's
and
sweet.
I just thought, yeah, I like stuff like that here and there. And the fact that it was 1 day ago, it felt kind of like kismet. And coming right after that previous comment, I really felt like we should end on a lighter note.
Yeah, that's really sweet. I hope you're doing well today, Truman Graham 3162. I mean, hey. They are like recently into listening to Mario Galaxy music. There's a non-zero chance that maybe they would end up listening to this episode. Yeah. So look, if somehow the winds of fate, Truman Graham 3162 have blown you to our little podcast, please make yourself known. I would love to connect with you. Please comment on Spotify or the YouTube video or whatever. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah. And again, yeah, either way, hope you're also doing well. I needed that comment after Albert Schneider up there. That has been it then for the YouTube comment oversharing corner of this episode. We do have a single voicemail to get into.
We do have a voicemail. Let's go ahead and play it.
Hello, the All-N Media Commune something. It is I, Spriteless. I am calling during lunch break. You don't need to know that. Mario Galaxy was a fun game and has bees and stuff, and I have a request for music that is the Bowser Airship song with the drums and the doo doo doo. I love that music. It's intimidating and stuff, and it freaked me out when I was little and playing Mario 3. So that is my request. Thank you guys. Goodbye.
Thanks, Spriteless. I love first of all, I love the vocal rendition that we got of the airship theme from Spriteless there. And I also love that this is the song that Spriteless calls out, because I don't think this song would have made it into this episode.
Yeah, I think it would have been a background song for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we would have broke for this otherwise. So again, that's also why I appreciate people calling in with specific requests to play on episodes like this, because not only does it allow us to play a song that wouldn't have otherwise made it, I also decided to pair it with another song that I wanted to fit in here that otherwise wouldn't have made it also. So perfect. Let's go on the final break then for Attack of the Airships and the Fiery Stronghold, both from Mario Galaxy 1. And we will be right back. And once more, that was the Attack of the Airships and the Fiery Stronghold. Yeah, I don't have too many notes on either of these. When it comes to Attack of the Airships, I actually fully agree with Spriteless in the sense that, like, a lot of my memories of playing Mario 3 as a kid are kind of tied up in how intimidating the airship song is, and just how intimidating the airships are in general. It's funny, we did a whole Mario 3 episode as a mini, and I don't think we ever really talked about the airships, to be honest. But it was such a big deal to me. You know, I talked about 3 hours ago at this point, I talked about putting the video on my Zune and bringing it to school to show my friend. A big part of that was, the airships are back. They're using them to like kidnap Peach and stuff. Like when you play Galaxy, especially back in 2007 when it was new, it already kind of felt like the Mario 3 of 3D Marios, right? Like the levels were so bite-sized and the scope of the game felt a lot bigger and whatnot. That all rings true for Mario 3 compared to the first two games also. But yeah, it really was, for me as a teenager, it was the airship theme being brought back and the airships in general being brought back that really, really cemented it as like, oh, like they are definitely trying to evoke Mario 3 specifically. And I really, really appreciated that at the time.
I mean, I am surprised that didn't come up in the Mario 3 conversation, all things considered, because I do find the airships very like evocative, and this is probably my favorite arrangement of the airship theme. Like when I think of that theme, this is probably the version of it that I hear in my head, right? Like this is just kind of it. Yeah, I don't have a lot of notes either. Like, there's just so much like impending dread in this song. Like, the chorus of horns might as well be playing taps for Mario. Like, and then like, you know, that drum line, it has a very like, you know, marching to your doom, walk the plank, you know, sort of energy. This is like the theme song of like a dead man walking, which makes it like the perfect, you know, go like making your way through an enemy fortress kind of airship kind of vibe.
Yes, truly the Imperial March of Mario music, as it were.
Yes.
For Fiery Stronghold, look, in the way that like other people are nostalgic for Mario 1 or whatever, I am super nostalgic for Mario 64. That was like one of the biggest, I would say that probably was like the biggest game changer of my life in terms of like video games and how crazy it felt to be seeing Mario in 3D at the time. Not only that, I really love the Mario 64 soundtrack, and I really specifically love Koopa Road or whatever it's called, the original version of this that plays in the first two Bowser levels. And much like the airship theme, the fact that they decided to rearrange this theme in particular for Mario 64 for the two of the three Bowser levels, that sent my mind reeling when I was a teenager playing this for the first time. I really remember, like, I popped off when I found out that they had remixed Koopa Road for this. Also just want to note that I think the second Bowser level in Galaxy 1 may be the coolest like individual level in the entire game. That's like where they get the most out of like the gravity swapping as like a puzzle mechanic out of Galaxy 1, where you're on this cross-shaped block, and it's like it's auto moving but into different sections of gravity denoted by like which way the arrows in the background are going. So you're having to like look at where the arrows are going where you are now, but also where they're going to be going when the block crosses over in a few seconds, and position yourself accordingly. That I think was like the exclamation mark on the entire gravity system of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 to me in this second Bowser level while this music is playing. So to me, I can't separate Mario Galaxy 1 from the Fiery Stronghold music, and I'm glad that we got to fit it in here at the very end.
I'm glad too, although I will say, I think that the Koopa Road, that's probably my favorite Mario 64 song, to be honest. I think it's totally iconic, and I do like this arrangement of it, but I don't think I necessarily prefer it over the original, like in the way that I do with the airship theme. I do like how this version, it kind of like hard stops all of the buildup, like that kind of just quick like stop before kind of going into the main movement of the song. I do love that. I think what like really there's like this kind of like synthy like drum punch underneath the bridge of the song that I don't really like if I'm being honest. Like that doesn't really quite land it. It feels a little like amateurish. It feels a little like, I don't know, a little like somebody noodling around on like GarageBand or something like that to me. But it sets up for drums to underscore the rest of the song from that point onwards. So I do think it's worth it, because I think from the rest of the song having those drums underneath it, I think works. It's just that specific section that I don't think it super works for. But still, it's just a great chance to even just be able to talk about Cooper Road. Like, it's just a great song.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that I like the original more. Like, it has kind of more weight to it. Like the synthy stuff kind of detracts a bit from like the weight of the song or whatever. But yeah, for the purpose of like having a cool rearrangement in Mario Galaxy, like 10 years later, yeah, I don't mind. It's cool that they did it. Yeah.
Agreed. Yep. Well, thanks for the voicemail, Spryless. Again, y'all can send in voicemails or texts to us. You can send them to bitharmonypod@gmail.com if you want to send it via email, like a voice file, or you can call in to 216-230-8540. The number again is 216-230-8540. If you're calling in, do try to keep your voicemail to under 3 minutes in length, because you will get cut off after that point. But yeah, we love your voicemails. We are always happy for you guys to call in. And again, we do have Infinity Nikki coming up and Final Fantasy X coming up. So if you guys want to get any voicemails in for those, either for specific song requests, or if you just want to like talk to us about the game and have your voice in the podcast, like, we welcome it all. So go ahead and get your voicemails in. You can also chat with us on Discord. We have links to that in the show notes too. You can join the free, friendly, and welcoming Discord community, chat with us in there, and check out Patreon. I guess I'll go ahead and thank the patrons and the people who make this stuff possible. You guys can support on Patreon for early access to the show and other exclusive stuff, like the exclusive mini episodes, like Mario 3 that we just did last week, and we'll have next week the Mario Kart mini. You can only get on Patreon. So do check out Patreon. We got links to that in the show notes as well. And join the ranks of these folks. Bit Harmony is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you. Thank you to our Triforce tier supporters, Adam Caparello, Bowza, Quagmire, Dan and Luma, Danielina Hosa, SAZ, John Cummins, Josh Vaughn, Ligerwoods 330, and Uncle Randy. And thank you to our Golden Banana tier supporters, Big Dogs Only, Bill Tucker, Foolish Fuji, Gamer Jason, Hopple, John 32, Liam D, Oldrake, Phelan Ward, Rob Yapel, Shy Guy, thank you, Shy Guy, Sean Ashton, Sparky, and Stephen Keller. Yeah, like I said, check out the link in the show notes. Check out Patreon, early access to the show, exclusive minis, and more. So we appreciate y'all's support.
Yeah. And again, we called them minis, but that Mario 3 episode is basically a full-length episode.
Yeah, basically.
The only reason it's shorter is because the music is so short.
Right.
Mario 3. But yeah, like Seth said, the next full episode is on Infinity Nikki. That's going to be with my wife and I. That is going up, or should be going up, April 5th. And we will have that Mario Kart Mini going up between now and then. With all that out of the way, all we've got left are the haikus.
That's right. Do you want to go first on this one, or should I?
Sure, I'll go first. I'll just say this is another instance where I forgot until pretty shortly before we recorded that I had to make a haiku. So you might be able to tell. That's actually a real throat clear. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit sick still.
A little juice in there.
Yeah. Spare some star bits. I'll burst with snacky happiness. Here we go. Transform.
Hell yeah. This is crazy. My haiku is also Starbit themed.
with how lovingly we talked about the Starbits, I don't think it's that crazy, honestly.
It's funny because like I don't think you and I have ever talked about Starbits before.
No,
like,
definitely not.
I don't think we've ever explored that avenue of our friendship. I think like we've gone to new heights today. With our shared love of Starbits that neither one of us knew until we explored that here this morning.
I hate how often you're using the word explore in this case.
Okay, so here's my Starbit haiku. Crunchy grape Starbits. Cinnamon reds, green ones fizz. Yum, galactic snacks.
Green ones fizz is very good because, yeah, the green ones to me, it would not be like apple flavored. It would be more like soda, like cream soda flavor kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of it as almost like a ramune kind of flavor, that like a fizzy sort of flavor. And yeah, the red ones to me are cinnamon. The purple ones are obviously grape. Yeah. So had to get all that in there.
Sometimes we're just real synced up.
We're just in sync.
Who would have thought that the Starbits haiku, the double Starbits haiku, would happen today? That is the end of the episode then. All we've got left is the outro and me having to read off the Mario Kart World composers for the third week in a row. Your outro this episode is Rosalina in the Observatory, which is a Mario Kart World rearrangement of the Comet Observatory from Galaxy 1. And again, Mario Kart World was composed by Atsuko Asahi, Masa Miyoshi, Takahiro Honda, and Yotaro Takakua. I've actually gotten better at that somehow. I guess enough repetition. Yeah, join us next time for Infinity Nikki and enjoy Rosalina in the Observatory. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, when the star bits hit, man.
Aye.